what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God! No!
Before they
Don't get brazen with me.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. How are we doing? How is everybody here? We're ready for the trial, are we? Ready for the Zachariah Anderson murder trial. Day 5. How many of you made it over here from my other stream automatically? I'm always curious to see whether YouTube follows through. Apparently, it boomered the heck out of it last week with the handoff to Aussie Overlaw'd at lunch. But hey, it looks like everybody made it over here. That's good. Oh, wow. We've got 27 minutes before showtime, and these have been starting notoriously late. Some people got here, some people didn't. That's great. I'm just kind of doing things here because I wrapped up one stream. I had a bunch of stuff to do in the interim, and I got literally none of it done. Just had time for a quick costume change and jumped on right in here. So we've got 434. Flux, don't get brazen with me. The dump failed. Just for you, apparently, Flux. Other people made it, so there you go. See? Chaos Coordinator got dumped properly this time. See, this is a weird thing. This automatic redirecting that YouTube is supposed to do is one of the most notoriously inconsistent features that they have. The idea is everybody's supposed to be redirected where you redirect everybody to, but it seems to me it's about 60% effective, and sometimes it's a grand total of 0% effective. Yeah, so it looks like it's about 50% so far, judging from the people that are speaking. But okay, we've got 460 of you here right now, 215 likes. We've got the like poll set up. So if you want to participate in our shenanigans, we have a like and subscribe poll that we do every day here. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have already hit the subscribe button, make sure you're still subscribed, because that's kind of important, because YouTube, they just randomly delete people's subscriptions for some reason. All right. So today's poll says I hit the like and subscribe buttons because I got the mens rea. It's always a popular choice. Because nobody does it like SCHROEDER, and because I want the DA to stop yelling at me. And the number 4 choice, I hit the like and subscribe buttons because
The power of Christ compels you.
And again, I'm never going to stop using that clip. I love it. Chris Mullen has gifted 5 Legal Vices memberships. Thank you so much for that, Chris. If you were one of the lucky 5 people that got a gifted membership right now, which is David Nelson, Rosman Ranch, Alan, you got a gifted membership. Ashley and Grant Sanford. If you were one of those lucky 5 people that got a gifted membership, please give Chris Mullen your heartfelt thanks. And thank you so much for being so generous with that. All right, what we've got to do here in the next 25 minutes or so is summarize what happened yesterday. And by yesterday, I mean Friday in this trial. Not a lot happened, but a lot happened. I know that sounds vague and weird, but this trial, it seems to be going quite slowly because the sidebars and the objections, Judge Schroeder launches into these massively long explanations of why he's ruling the way he is, and he allows a lot more discussion than most other judges allow. But I like the rationale that he gives for doing this is that if it's appealed, when the appellate court reviews the record, they will know exactly what he was thinking and why he ruled the way he did on the objections. So I like that part of it, but sometimes he comes across as a little bit spacey. But there's a lot going on in his head. So I think people are unfair. And, looking at looking at the other chats, when I was catching up, I was watching Law and Crimes chat. They were brutal. I mean, they were like just horrific degenerates, even more so than you guys. And you guys are my favorite degenerates. I mean, just the things they're saying, I mean, about the judge and the defense, and again, they're so pro prosecution. It hurts to read their comments. I mean, just ridiculously so. And it always seems to be that way with like Law and Crime and these other places because they purposely stack the deck of public opinion against the defendants. Just their headlines, the way they handle it, their commentary, it's all directed usually against the against the defense. At least in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, some of the comments were just brutal. Everybody hates the defense lawyer. They're calling her all sorts of horrible names, asking her how she performs certain bodily functions with those nails, talking about what crud is under the, I mean, just being horrifically vile. And, you know, you guys are my kind of degenerates. You know where the line is. Who's worse, this chat or Nick's chat? This chat or the Law and Crime chat? A lot of my chat is Nick's chat, but Nick's chat is definitely more Wild West than here. We've all got our lines. We know what our lines are. We keep it as decent as possible. But no, just I had to stop watching. I literally wanted to watch the Law and Crime chat just to sort of see what other people are thinking, but it literally disgusted me. And it's hard to do that to me. I'm not easily disgusted. But I'm glad and I don't know what it seems like the lawyers, and I again throwing around the law tube thing, the law tube lawyers seem to be much more based in common sense than other people. Especially the commentators, but even other lawyers, because a lot of these lawyers are commentators. And just the stuff they say is utterly beyond me. It bewilders me. Legal Vices, the people that are so pro-prosecution are the first to cry that for their rights to be protected once the DA sets their sights on them. Oh yeah, right. You're absolutely true. LawTube is officially hated by DSP. Of course it is. No, there is no LawTube. It's just, you know, a term we have to use. But I'm going to tell you the way I see this trial. Well, we've got, again, 20 more minutes or so before it starts, and Chandler Remington should be joining us as soon as she's ready. We're starting 30 minutes earlier to do this review, and I forgot to tell her. Wolfram, who is degenerate? By the way, lick that like button. It's not going to lick itself. Exactly. I mean, I start out with my own biases, my own thoughts, my own opinions on what may have happened, but I'm also focused on the evidence. On the evidence. What he did or didn't do is not really important when you're reaching your decisions. What can the prosecutor prove? The prosecutor wants to take this guy's life away, lock him up for the rest of his days. The prosecutor has, and then there was comments like, why is someone so stupid to let this guy have a defense? I mean, there was dumb statements like that just would make you horrified. Can't people see it's a really stupid idea to defend this guy? Come on. The guy is presumed innocent, and he is entitled to have a defense. He's entitled to have a lawyer appointed for him or hired for him, or you or me or anyone else that finds themselves accused of a crime. You have the right to be presumed innocent and to hire someone or have someone appointed to you that will vigorously and aggressively argue your position in court. You have a right to a vigorous defense by a lawyer. And we have to base, as the impartial jurors we're supposed to be, upon what evidence is presented to us. Not if we think the guy did it, not if we read somewhere that something happened, we have to look specifically at the evidence that's presented and decide whether it proves beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant committed the crime they're accused of. And looking at this is my breakdown. For those of you that don't know what this trial is about, and there are some of you, we'll give you a very, very brief overview of what this trial is. This trial is a trial of Zachariah Anderson, a man who the government says killed his ex-girlfriend's new girlfriend. He says that they have 3 children together. They broke up, and he was so distraught, devastated, and whatnot by this that he started stalking her and him. Started putting burner phones in her car with location apps on them to use as a GPS tracking device, planting listening devices around the place, peeping in her window at night to see what she's up to. And eventually he became so jealous of his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend that he allegedly murdered the new boyfriend. The prosecution described the house as being covered in blood, except for one little void where a carpet was missing. But other than that, every livable space, the ceiling, the walls, the furniture, everything was covered in a sea of blood, basically is how it was described. And we look at the defendant, who is probably 200 pounds. The deceased we don't even know. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. But the allegedly deceased person, and I use that term exactly the way I meant to, the allegedly deceased person was reported to be around 270 pounds. So the 200 guy is supposed to take out the 270-pound guy, bash the life out of him with blunt instruments, and somehow dispose of the body so cleanly and so effectively that there is no body, there is no murder weapon, the defendant's DNA is nowhere at the murder scene, the defendant's blood is nowhere at the murder scene, the victim's blood, confirmed victim's blood, is nowhere on any possessions of the defendant. There is possibly a little tiny microscopic speck of the defendant's DNA, of the deceased person's DNA, in the car of the defendant, in the defendant's work van. Possible. And that's basically it. There's door cameras, there's business cameras, there's other cameras all around the place, but none of them show any trace of the defendant or his vehicle being anywhere near the scene at the time the murder was alleged to have taken place. That's where we start. So they never crossed paths. Well, that's where we get into the evidence here. What we've got evidentiary-wise so far is that and there's only been a few witnesses testify. The cops didn't do a very good job. There were some weird things, like the guy's cell phone, his blood-covered cell phone, and his credit cards were found in the back of the freezer, in the back of his freezer. They processed the cell phone and found no fingerprints or DNA or blood from the perpetrator on the cell phone. They didn't process the credit cards. They didn't process the door handle on the freezer. They didn't process light switches. They didn't process an open window area for fingerprints. The cops didn't do a very good job of investigating. They have a witness, they say, that's going to offer testimony, apparently, that he confessed. Who did he confess to? He confessed to someone in his jail cell, a jailhouse confession. A guy that was locked up with the defendant for 3.5 weeks says that the defendant, who had remained silent for 2.5 years since he was arrested, has now suddenly confessed to his cellmate that he stabbed the guy and disposed of the body. Did you notice the discrepancy there? He said that he stabbed him, where all of the evidence points to blunt force trauma. And the jailhouse confession, if the guy confesses, it's going to get him a reduced sentence. Not the most credible witness out there. And so as we go through the witnesses, we get this problem with the police, and then an ex-girlfriend of the defendant testifies. The reason that she testified was supposed to be talking about some sort of drug past he had, vaguely referencing a drug past. But she's been arrested. She has like 3 criminal charges on her anyway, and she was high as fuck on that witness stand. Go back to day 4 and watch her testify. The first witness of the day, she was high as fuck on the stand. I mean, to me, it looked like she was in the full-on heroin nods. It was rough. But she gave testimony that was very, very helpful to the defense, I thought. She was talking about how the defendant had bad back problems, from working construction for a long time. And so she said he had back problems. So now we have like a smaller guy, around 200 pounds, with bad back problems, who is supposedly taking out, hauling away, and disposing of a 270-pound man all by himself without leaving a single trace behind. Then they brought in a DNA expert she was testifying some weird stuff. She was a DNA analyst. But by the end of it, the prosecutor was having her be an expert witness on crime scene investigations. And it was strongly objected to, but Judge Schroeder let it in. Well, he said he would let it in for now. Because what happened, she basically testified that there was one tiny speck of a reddish colored substance in the defendant's van, in the back of the defendant's van. And when I say this was a tiny speck, that is literally what I mean. It was like literally the size of a pinhead. The dot was so small that they couldn't do a field test with luminol or other substance to see if it tested, at least preliminarily, as possible blood, because it would destroy it that quick. They took the entire thing. It was just this tiny little micro thing. And with their testing, could not determine whether or not it was blood. She said it looked like blood to her, but that's not her job. Her job is to analyze it, not talk about what it looks like, but they let that in temporarily. So she said it didn't test positive for blood, but it did test positive for one male's DNA. And it was an apparent match for the defendant. I mean, for the victim. So she's saying there's this tiny size of a pinhead speck of the deceased person's DNA in the back of the van. Now, what the defense mentioned on opening was that apparently, allegedly, the defendant had broken into the deceased guy's car for some reason while the girlfriend and ex-girlfriend and him were in early stages of their relationship, and then the ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend reportedly and allegedly broke into the car of the defendant, saying, I'm not sure if it's recorded or if it was on text message. That's what it was. It was a text message saying, well, I'm going to give him a taste of his own medicine, and then allegedly broke into the defendant's car. And so the prosecution is saying that this is obviously evidence that he murdered him. This tiny speck, pinhead-sized piece of DNA that they can't even tell what it is proof of murder. Whereas the defense is saying, well, we have a very, very good explanation for why the deceased person's DNA would be in the defendant's car. It's because he broke into the defendant's car and left some DNA behind while he was doing that. And so this DNA analyst, that's what she testified to at the beginning, was that they tested this. They couldn't get a positive test for blood, and it was one person's DNA, and reportedly was the victim's DNA. And then she went into this whole crime scene analysis. what this looks like, what they would be looking for, how they would do things, what the collection went into all of this. And the defense lawyer, she strenuously objected to that. And Judge Schroeder said, well, we will let it in for now. He's going to think about it over the weekend and make a decision on Monday. And the decision he's going to make today, probably right at the beginning, is whether to allow everything she said in, or whether he's going to tell the jury to accept everything she said up to the point where she talks about the blood and the DNA, and then everything after that should be excluded. He's going to do one of those two things. So we'll have to see which it is. And that kind of brings us up to date to where so far, well, Friday was not a good day for the defense counsel, to be honest. She was very, very aggressive in her objections. I thought she was a little too aggressive, I think, and she was getting on the judge's nerves. It was clear that Judge Schroeder was getting a little bit annoyed. But she was getting overruled repeatedly. So it wasn't a great day for her objections, but she was still making the arguments. She was still getting it in. They do have this problem. The defense does have this problem that now they do have to explain give a reasonable reason why the deceased guy's DNA was in the vehicle of the suspect. And again, it was just a tiny little microspeck. But as I said, in her opening argument, in her opening statement, she suggested that there will be a witness to talk about the dead person breaking into the defendant's van as revenge. A good question was asked here a minute ago. Whether there was enough blood for him to be dead. Well, see, that was the thing. As I mentioned, that the prosecutor described this as just an ocean of blood. Like you'd see it from Nightmare on Elm Street, where Johnny Depp got sucked into the bed and there was this amazing fountain of blood gouting out for like 5 minutes. But the pictures, I mean, it seemed like, if someone had like a massive head wound or had a really bad cut somewhere on their head, and they fell down on the floor and bled a little bit on the floor and then sat on the couch, because there's a kind of a little area of blood on the living room floor. There's a little bit of blood on the back of a pillow on one of the cushions of the sofa, and then a couple of blood drops and spatters on one of the cushions of the sofa. Other than that, I don't see there being any evidence that this guy is actually dead. Just by me, and what the hell do I know? Just me looking at the crime scene picture, I have no reason to believe this dude is dead. I think Jeff died. What did I do? I'm still here, still very much alive. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't see. I haven't even seen. Of course, there is no body. But I haven't seen evidence that there's even enough blood for someone to be dead. So do I believe he's dead? I don't know. So they haven't even proved he's dead yet. They haven't had an expert come on and say, "Oh yeah, that's way more blood than someone can lose and still survive." They haven't done that. Even if dude is dead, I don't see any direct evidence or even any real circumstantial evidence that links him to this crime, other than that one tiny pinprick thing of DNA that apparently can be explained away by the deceased guy actually having been in that car before he was dead. Well, so we'll just have to see how it goes. Bald Eagle says, how awkward would it be for the state if the victim just walked into the courthouse to watch the trial? The amount of heads that would explode on lawn crime chat would be hilarious. Yeah, well, that's always the thing, that's always the cliche, isn't it? That the defense goes, in fact, he's still alive, and there he is coming into the courtroom now. And the jury goes, what? And then you say, aha, reasonable doubt. You expected him to walk through the door. That means you have reasonable doubt. I mean, it would be ridiculous if they tried something like that, but All right, let's bring up Law and Crime here and see how they're doing. I haven't even brought up their stream yet. And just got a text from Chandler Remington that said, "I'll be on in an hour, running late this morning. Hope that's okay." Hey, an hour late is better than just leaving me here to just wave in the wind by myself, because it's always more fun to have someone else on these streams with you rather than just talking to the ether. Oh, wait a minute. There's a new trial starting too. Hopefully this will end and we can go. This is the Ice Cream Man double murder retrial. Former ice cream truck driver Michael Keatley is facing a retrial for allegedly shooting 6 people on Thanksgiving 2010. Never trust ice cream drivers. All right. Murdoch's over and a new trial starting for them. But we are in the middle of this really, really interesting trial that is presided over by Judge Bruce Schroeder, the Kyle Rittenhouse judge. So there's that here. All right. People. All right. Oh, well, what have we done here? All right, bringing the live stream up. Hang on. It's being uncooperative. There we go. Now it's being cooperative. We've got the great state seal of Wisconsin there. And boom. Share that. Make sure we got audio. All right. Think we're good to go. Why is that stopped? And catch us up. And we should be going live anytime in after about 2 minutes. So until then, we will kind of make this a little bit smaller and continue our discussion. All righty. Oh, so this is another Murdoch trial. This is more Murdoch-y than Murdoch is. Because there is no body. And there's no blood, really. There's a little bit of blood, but there's no DNA evidence nowhere. Nobody's on tape anywhere near this place. This is way more Murdoch-y than Murdoch. Torgo the White, unbreaded. Thank you so much for that super chat. And let's see. Did that catch us up on all the super chats already? No, it did not. Oh, we saw a flash of Judge there. Ooh. Scrolling back up here so we can get some of the super chats. Bella Butt 91. Why is there a continuing theme of not my job from cops to investigators? Well, that was one thing that the defense lawyer, she did in this case. And I think she went a little too far with it. When one of the investigating officers was on the scene, she was cross-examining him with, did you check this for prints? Did you check that for print? Did you check the other thing for prints? Did you check the things in the garbage for prints? She was reading off this laundry list of things they didn't test. I think it would have been much more effective if she would have stuck to the main things, like the not processing the credit cards, the handles on the freezer, the handles on the fridge, the doorknobs, the light switches, the windowsill next to the open window. If she would have just focused on a few of them, I think it would have been a lot more powerful. But as she was just going down the laundry list, the ginger ale can in the garbage, if she was literally doing things like that, and it seemed like she was just kind of wearing it out to the point where you're going, God, they can't test everything in a crime scene. So, but yeah. I think she would have done a much better job of showing that the cops weren't doing their job if she would have just focused on 5 or 6 important things they didn't test. What else we got here? Carpe Deegan curious. Do you have a recommended unbiased source where I can quickly get caught up on the facts of this case or others? I struggled with this during the Alex Murdoch trial at first too. Reddit is garbage. Of course, Reddit's garbage. Gosh. Not to be an idiot, but I suggest me. If you go back about a week and a half, I'm not sure if it's on the playlist for this, or if it's just before I started the playlist for this. There is a Zachariah Anderson little bit there. that kind of gives a little bit of background. The Court TV, if you search for Zachariah Anderson, they have a little 1-page synopsis. That's kind of pretty much it, really. I know it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I try to be as unbiased as possible. And okay, that's not really true. I try to be legally unbiased, and by that I mean my bias is with the defense, the innocence of the defense. That's where my bias starts. But I'm totally and widely open to being convinced otherwise by evidence that's presented by the prosecution. Yeah, that's kind of all I got there for you. Sorry, no great answers of great sources of unbiased reporting. Kajal, Kajal, Jcal, let's call you. Is there a chance the missing carpet absorbed a lot of the blood? Okay, they're talking about there's a section of carpet in the back of the work van that's missing. That the insinuation there is just that it was cut out to hide the blood. But again, it could have soaked up a lot of the blood, but where's the rest of it? And again, this is a guy who's 70 pounds lighter that has a bad back now, thanks to the prosecution's witness. I don't see there being all of that and just only one tiny little micro speck less, because it's really, really hard to wipe out blood. You can destroy a lot of DNA and stuff with bleach and other solvents, but it's really hard to get blood out of things, like to where it's undetectable, completely and utterly undetectable. And I know people that have these work vans that'll have carpet on part of it, and then they'll have an open space where they carry their paints and stuff like that, so it doesn't, get the carpet any worse than it already is. But who knows? We'll just kind of have to see how it goes along. Let's see. Still got to go back to make sure we don't miss any of these things here. Oh, Maddie Graham, member 3 months of the Clean and Sober crew. Vice says this sounds even more fishy than the Murdoch evidence. This really, really does to me. I don't like what's going on so far. There's such an absence of evidence that I'm legit concerned as to why this was even brought. But we'll have to see. I said the prosecution is still in the middle of their case in chief, so we'll have to see how the evidence gets presented and what gets presented. And so you got to go back a little bit here. I did not save some of these super chats, so I got to go scroll back for them. While we wait for the trial to come up, we've got the lamps have been turned on, so that's nice. Hopefully that's a good sign. They'll be starting here briefly. Xcomer Triple Z says, what was this about a roaming medal for most time sentenced? Oh yeah, I think that was something that I believe Natalie Wisco was saying when she was on here, that the prosecutors would get an award for the like a monthly award or something for the whoever had a defendant with the most prison time sentenced. It was her or somebody else. I believe it was her saying, yeah, they get an award. The prosecutors got some sort of award for having the highest sentence of the month or whatever, which just is icky. Ugh. I could be completely misremembering, but that's what I remember. And we got 1,285 of you and only 632 likes. Shame on you people. Come on. We usually have a good 80% of you hitting the like button. While we're just sitting here waiting for the court to start. So please do me that favor and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, I would deeply, deeply love to get your subscription as we march slowly towards 50,000 subscribers. That's the next goal. We just hit 35,000 last week, and we're on our way to 50,000. I'm just checking the current numbers right now are 35,460. I'll see if like all of you that aren't subscribed, we could probably be up to 36,000 by the end of the show. That'd be super. But hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, please make sure you're still subscribed, and then pop on over and take our like and subscribe poll. It's allegedly witty, probably not, but it's just something fun to do to remind us to hit the like and subscribe. I know that's the second time I've grifted that in 35 minutes. I usually do it like once an hour, but hey, why not? We've got time. We're just staring at the wooden seal here. And by the way, I love Judge Schroeder's chair. His chair is like a throne. He has like the greatest judge chair I have ever seen. Been there, done that. Says, my apologies for missing last week. I was at Disneyland. Well, yeah, poor bastard had to go to Disneyland. I would rather be at Disneyland than a lot of places. And Flux bringing the $5 super chat. What's up, Flux? I told Mrs. Flux about it, and the first thing she said was, well, the American justice system is dead after the Murdaugh trial, which is exactly what I said. That was, for me, confirmation that innocence until proven guilty, that presumption of innocence is no longer a thing. Jay Cal says, oh, I thought there was a rug missing from the guy's apartment. Yes, there is a rug missing. There is a rug missing from the guy's apartment. There is a rug missing from the guy's apartment, and there's also a patch of carpet allegedly missing from the back of the van. We haven't established it was ever there yet. But yeah, there is a missing rug, but it's not a great big rug. Just judging from the little square and how it looks, it just looks like a typical like rug you would have in front of your coffee table or something like that. But well, we're a little bit too early to bring up the gruesome blood site. We'll check in on it and see if we can get if we can find the place in the video a couple of days ago where they showed the blood scene. We'll look at that during the first 10-minute break, and you can see what the deal is, unless they happen to show it for some reason between now and then. So yeah, there's like a carpet from the house that's allegedly missing. Oh, and by the way, apparently they didn't find any of that rug's fibers in the back of the van or anywhere else. So who knows? Is there havoc yet? Yes, actually there is. Now the guy, the prosecutor, this is the actual district attorney. This is Binger's boss. This is the guy that trained Binger, and you'll see a lot of why Binger acted the way Binger acted when you see how the district attorney acts. He's a brash older guy. He loves yelling. His default volume is shout. And he doesn't use the microphone. He would rather just shout at people. He's very, very shouty. But the defense lawyer, she's a spitfire. She's not intimidated by him. She even gets into arguing with Judge Schroeder, who put up with it. So she's not afraid of anything. She's a good lawyer. But if you look at, everybody on law and crime, oh, she's the worst. She's terrible. How is she allowed to practice law? She's doing great. She's got, as I understand, 5 years experience. So she's good. So there is havoc because there's some good back and forth. And like I said, the one of the first witnesses on Friday had to have been high as a damn kite. Just strung out bad. Legal advice is, I'm going to commit a crime just so she'll defend me. Well, you need to be pretty specific, but don't be doing that. That's not something you want to do. All right. I think we are caught up with everything. We are. That's awesome. All right. We are now caught up with comments and super chat. So we're just kicking it here until the time the court starts. They've 11 minutes behind. So we don't know if they're discussing something or if they just haven't bothered to show up yet. Yeah, I pretty much go with the opposite of whatever Law and Cuck's chat say. But see, in cases like the Murdaugh trial, we see that they do have these problems, but everybody is following it. They were right. They got it right. As much as I hate to say it, the Law and Cuck chat got the Murdaugh verdict right. I certainly didn't. I can't even figure out how the Murdaugh thing went to trial, the murder trial. That's how little evidence I saw. The Dragon's Treasure said, you should tell people to buy tea. Funny you should mention that, the Dragon's Treasure. I just happen to be nursing some Dragon's Treasure Christmas in a Cup tea as we speak. This is a lovely little tea here. It's ingredients: black tea, cinnamon, orange, natural spice flavor, cardamom, cloves, ginger, natural ginger flavor, and natural cinnamon flavor. It does taste like Christmas in a cup. And if you the Dragon's Treasure, he has over 60 teas. He has every month a rotating selection of over 60 teas. They're loose leaf teas, or you can order them in a bag. You can order 20 grams, 100 grams, different sizes, and they're delivered right to your door. So if you go to thedragonstreasure.com, thedragonstreasure.com, order yourself some amazing tea. And why am I doing this? Because if you use code VICES, you get 10% off. So he wins by making a sale. You win by getting 10% off. And if you use code VICES, I win because I get a 5% kickback that I can put into buying more tea. So there you go. Go to the Dragon's Treasure and get some amazing, amazing tea. And Dick Saucer is preparing to give T-Man my tax return. Yeah, you don't want to. Nope, we don't use that code, Garvin. Don't use that code. We use code VICES. Code VICES. Oh, there is commotion in the courtroom. We're ready to go. Use code VICES at thedragonstreasure.com. No, Mr. K. You forgot virile, vigorous, and potent. Tea is good for you. It cleans the blood and allows the free flow of blood to places where blood needs to flow freely to. And yeah, it is. Mandy, you're right. He's absolutely correct. It is some of the best tea I've ever had in my life. Yes, is it Schroeder? It is Judge Schroeder. Judge Schroeder is in charge of this courtroom. Well, he's in the courtroom. We'll let you decide whether he's in charge. I love that chair. That is just a throne of a chair. We don't need to see that. That's the defense lawyer there. That's the defense table. She's the main. These are her overseers, I guess, because they step in and make arguments occasionally. Who isn't gonna simp for that? That's a throne. That's like Game of Schroeder thrones there. Yeah. Seriously, I want that chair just in my office. Just put that in my office and see what my boss has to say about that. Seriously, that chair is a life goal. Oh yeah, there was another.
What does that mean? We need direction to pass on to the jail.
I know. Well, then they should sit there until the next purge date, right?
Yeah.
What?
After spending a few days in there, she made us said to pay up.
Is that what you want to do? Just set it on our next purge review date? They want to sit there until then?
Okay, that was a random piece of conversation. Perhaps we should stay on the subject. What do you think? Tell us, what do you think? Should we stick on the same subject, Schroeder?
Don't get into other subjects. Come on.
Exactly. Don't get into other subjects, Schroeder. Come on. Don't leave us hanging here. Flux. Again, I need only like 45 more subs. Hey, Flux. Yeah. Flux is one of the OGs here on the channel. She's got her own channel where she talks about topical things. She does some Minecraft. She does some painting. She does a lot of cool stuff. If you know Flux and haven't subscribed, or if you don't know Flux, go check her out too. Her channel is House of Flux, HOUSEOFFLUXX. House of Flux, all one word, 2 X's. She needs 45 subscribers to get her to the 1,000 subscriber mark. Then she can start the grift. So 45 of you. There's almost 1,500 of you in here. 45 of you would like. I'm sure 45 of you would like. Probably 1,045 of you would like what she does. Go check her out. House of Flux. All one word, 2 X's. Get her up over 1,000. Do me a fave. Okay, Judgy, come on. Chair Goon. Oh, definitely Chair Goon. He has a new ringtone for this trial because it's already gone off once. I think it was like day one. This is the defendant here. His phone already went off on the first day, and it wasn't proud to be an American. Michelle, they are just starting. He's got his man bun a little tighter today. So he's got it tied back. He's got it pulled back a little bit tighter. So we're down to some serious business here. This is live, and we are covering it every day. This is day 5. I do the morning session, and then Aussie Overlaw'd takes over the afternoon session so that we can both get a little bit of sleep over here in our corner of the world.
Ready as we'll ever be.
Alrighty.
All right, they're ready as they'll ever be.
Oh, Judge, there was something the defense wanted to address prior to the jury being brought down.
Okay.
Oh, he was calling the jury.
Hi, I was about to call you down, but one little matter. It'll just be a couple minutes. I'll be calling back.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And every time he says it's going to be a couple of minutes,
Yeah,
it takes like an hour.
We just want to make a record about, excuse me, the analyst Treffinger that would testify Friday afternoon. And you remember we had a big, skirmish, I guess, about
Yes, the admissibility of that witness's statement.
Notice of. So we didn't cross her on the bleach and what else?
Her opinions.
Yeah, the crime scene investigation, because we would have wanted to consult with an expert, but we just didn't want there to be some question from this record about why that wasn't done. That's all.
All right, guys, how's the volume too? Do I need to boost the court volume, or are we okay?
I just want to say that I believe I found a case that is can be only cited for persuasive value. It's an unpublished opinion from 2013. It's State versus Gimino, Gimino, at 347 Wisconsin 2nd, 550.
This is the district attorney.
347, 550.
Yep. Again, just for persuasive value.
I understand.
You guys rock. Flux just hit 1,000 subscribers. Now she can make all the applications for griftability. Flux, you rock. Congratulations. And thank you folks in chat for helping out a wonderful, wonderful woman.
In the event that this issue.
All right, we'll give the court a small boost here.
Survives the outcome of the trial. I think that I would expect the defense during a break, something to get underway with trying to get a search for evidence that might undermine the evidence given on behalf of the state. I'm not saying that would make a difference, but I would say if you arrive at a much later date and contend that the ruling was incorrect, I would think you would need to come armed with evidence that you had attempted to get contrary evidence assembled before the jury goes to verdict. And that's all I'll say.
Okay. All I would remark on that is that it's very difficult to find and retain experts. That's why we want to do it far in advance of trial. That's why we want to notice. It's kind of hard in the heat of the battle to find the time to do that, or the resources now.
Yeah, I made the observation.
I understand.
And I did give some thought to this over the weekend, and I'm comfortable with where we're at now, but I understand that you're not. And I'm just saying that if you suddenly arrived here tomorrow or Wednesday and said, here's what this expert says, which is contrary to that which is now in evidence, that would cause me to do some more thinking on the subject. Okay? All right.
One other small thing, and I did alert Mr. Gravely to this, is that going forward now during the direct examinations, excuse me, I'll be handling the objections and arguments on that, and then Ms. Muller will be handling the cross-examination, just so that's not a surprise.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else before we start?
No.
Okay, I told him 2 minutes. It's only about 5.
Yes.
The moment has come.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I just gave a great speech and it was all muted. Oh, that was too bad. I was saying Mike Morrison, thank you so much. All right. Glad to see you're doing well after your latest Effort Friday. Really enjoy your streams. That's all. Carry on. No shot necessary. Thank you. Thank you very much. I usually don't do any shots of anything for the week after I do an Effort Friday, but I deeply, deeply appreciate that very, very, very generous super chat and all the ones that you gave on Effort Friday. Dang. It sounded so much better the first time. Mike, you rock. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend and that we have a great week this week. And let's continue with the state's case.
Your Honor, the state calls Officer Jeff Van Wheat to the stand.
All right, we're getting a lot of unbalanced comments about the audio, so I will bump my volume down. All right, I've halved my volume. I've brought my volume down by half. Let me know how that sounds when Court starts talking again here. Because it's, for those of you that don't know, what I hear is not what you guys hear. It's all balanced to me at the beginning, but then StreamYard gets a hold of it, then YouTube gets a hold of it.
Should I begin, Your Honor?
Please do.
Officer Van Wheat, can you please state your first and last name and spell your last name for the record?
Jeffrey Van Wee, V-A-N, capital W-I-E.
How are you employed?
The City of Kenosha Police Department.
How long have you been so employed?
For 20 years.
And during that 20-year time period, what has been your basic job?
All right, it seems like the court volume is still too low.
Officer, various shifts, third shift and day shift for the most part.
At some point during your career, did you take on additional duties other than simply patrol?
Yes.
And how long have you done those additional duties?
I've been a field training officer for approximately 17 years and an evidence technician for 16 years.
What is an evidence technician?
Evidence technician responds to crime scenes in order to examine those scenes for evidence, as far as obtaining fingerprints or DNA or just collecting evidence.
Nice.
And have you been doing that continuously for those 16 years that you've indicated?
Yes.
Okay. And what sort of training did you have to receive to be a person who was allowed to be an evidence technician with the Kenosha Police Department?
I went through a school for 80 hours in 2006.
And what did, in general, what was the coursework that caused you to be qualified as an evidence technician?
It covers everything from.
I have to say, it
scene
does look like
management
Sloth from the
to
Goonies.
Scene processing of evidence to photography.
And at this point in your career, what do you have any specific duties other than patrol that you do now?
I'm currently the forensics examiner for the Kenosha Police Department.
And when did you get that role?
It was in August of last year.
And what does that mean to be the forensic examiner for the Kenosha Police Department?
I oversee the evidence technicians for the Kenosha Police Department and the forensics program. I'm also on standby or on call, if you will, for any major crime scenes that may occur. And I have other duties which include processing evidence for detectives or other cases involved they may need follow-up on.
Baby
So you
Ruth?
indicated you oversee the evidence technicians. If you know how many Kenosha Police Department evidence technicians does that mean you oversee?
We currently have 26.
And so do you do normal patrol duties any longer, or is this evidence work that you've just discussed your primary, or is that your major duty at this point?
It's my major duty.
Have you received any advanced certification and as part of now becoming the forensic examiner for the Kenosha Police Department?
Throughout my career as an evidence technician, I've attended various schools for advanced skill set.
I want to specifically focus for a minute on bloodstain pattern analysis. Have you received advanced certification through any kind of coursework in that regard?
Yes, I have.
And when did you receive that, if you know?
In 2021.
And what was that?
It's a bloodstain pattern analysis class. It was 40 hours of advanced training in order to determine bloodstains and how bloodstains are projected on different areas or different targets.
Who was conducting that training in general?
It was Forensic Pieces is the name of the organization.
And was this a 40-hour course that was focused on law enforcement officers?
Law enforcement, and also it could be civilians that were in the field of doing evidence work.
And did you complete that 40-hour course then?
Yes.
So prior to that course, had you had experience in the field where you had come across bloodstain patterns and had to think about what am I preserving, how am I going to preserve this, and also what other law enforcement decisions have to be made as a result? Is that something you've come across prior to May of 21?
Yes, many times.
And in your course, would this be a fairly common task?
And I've got to get my notepad. Hang on.
Assignment that you had previously?
Yes.
In the course of your career, so from 06 when you received evidence tech training to today's date, do you have a general estimate on how many times you have gone to a scene where there was blood and you had to make basic decisions about what to preserve, what it meant, and then what to do next as law enforcement?
Yes, it'd be a very large number. I'd say definitely in the hundreds, if not more.
There. Now I can take notes like a responsible commentator.
Pursuant to your evidence tech duties, did you come to be assigned to come to a scene on May 19, 2020, located at 3709 15th Street, Apartment B?
Yes.
And was that before or after you had attended this advanced certification for bloodstain pattern analysis?
That was before.
Okay. After having received that advanced certification, were you asked to take a look at what had happened at the scene on May 19th, 2020, and form some opinions about what those bloodstain patterns might mean?
Yes.
And when you offered those opinions, what, if anything, can you say about whether you had been a personal observer to the stains and the blood back on May 19th?
It just sounds bad. Personal observer to
On May
stains.
19th, I was at the scene. I observed firsthand all the scenes, all the blood stains that were at the residence, at the scene. And then also a year later, when I went to this bloodstain school, I went back and looked through the photos that I took in order to determine, evaluate those stains further.
Now, in terms of any opinions you offer today, have you testified as an expert in that regard prior to today?
No.
Okay. So I want to turn your attention back to May 19th, 2020, and ask you about what time did you first come to that location?
I was off that day and I was called in by my supervisor, and I believe it was around 1 or 2 o'clock when I got called in.
And do you know why you were called in the context of what your duties were at that time?
I was a lead evidence technician for the department.
And so when you were called in, did you arrive at the scene?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember what the weather was like?
I know it had been raining out previously.
And when you got there, were other law enforcement already there?
Yes.
From the outside, briefly describe what it looked like when you arrived.
When I arrived, there was crime scene tape that was already in place. There were officers and detectives and supervisors were on the scene.
I'm going to show you it's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1, photo number 1.
Shifty eyes.
And ask if you recognize what this is a picture of dating back to May 19th, 2020.
Yes.
Okay.
That is when I arrived. That's the north side of the 3709 15th Street.
And at this location, when you got there, what did you do first?
I consulted with my supervisor and the lead detectives as far as what occurred.
I believe the judge has a pointer. Judge, can we borrow your pointer? And
Shifty
he also has
hair.
a handheld microphone, which I believe he will give you. Officer, you mentioned crime scene tape. If you see any of that in picture number 1, could you proceed over to the exhibit and just point that out for the jury?
Yes.
We can't hear you, officer.
This yellow tape that you see right here, and then come across this way.
Okay. And officer, is that how you would expect the crime scene tape to be sort of in general utilized at a scene like this when you arrive?
Yes.
Okay, you can have a seat again. So when you are working as an evidence tech as opposed to the first on the scene set of officers, do you have a separate duty than the first officers?
Stop saying duty.
Yes, I do.
It's
And
duty.
so how does your duty distinct from theirs?
My duty would be to conduct the evidence work, so crime scene management, as far as evaluating what kind of evidence we have on the scene to determine what needs to be processed.
And that would not be the duty of the original patrol officers who arrived?
Correct.
Okay.
Let me interrupt if I might for a moment. When the witness went on the stand, I remembered him having been sworn, which he was, but
Yes.
not in this trial. It was
Sure.
it was another hearing, and so
Oh no, he hasn't been sworn in yet.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you were about to give?
Oh my
is the
God!
The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. And
So help you
as all
God,
the
how did he
testimony
get
you
not
have
sworn
given
in?
Thus far today, been true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief? Yes, sir. Okay. Any question about this?
We'll make the record that we're not going to have the state go back and redirect Officer Van Wee on everything that he's previously testified to. That would just be ludicrous. But
Ludicrous.
I do too just want to make the record that although that was a separate hearing in so much as that the jury wasn't here, that was still after the trial had commenced. That was an afternoon after, I believe, our first day. So the defense has no issue with the state continuing, and if the officer is comfortable with the stipulation, we would stipulate that his previous testimony should have been accepted as if it was under an oath.
This morning.
Correct, this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I asked him that follow-up question.
Because we had already commenced, I'm not sure any of that was absolutely necessary, but it was a good cautious approach. But,
Well, that's the first time I've ever seen that happen.
On the stand, I thought, oh, this worked him the other day. And
Can we stop talking about duty and coming on the stand? Come on, guys. Raise up your game.
And then the reporter
I'm talking to the court, not the chat.
mentioned that he hadn't been sworn, and it dawned on me that insofar as in the presence of the jury, he had not, so that's explains it. And any question?
I got a lot of questions,
So
Judge.
they've stipulated that it is as if he had been promptly sworn this morning. And
Wow.
I also agree that it probably wouldn't make any difference because he has been sworn in the context of this case. But you know, we lawyers want to cover everything, so.
Oh, no,
All right.
being sworn in is
All right,
very
so
important.
For the record, we are also stipulating, so.
Yes, and
And Bass member for 6 months of the Clean and Sober crew says he will lie whether sworn or not. No big deal. Oh, zing.
So Officer N, when you arrived at the scene, you consulted with detectives. Did you have an opportunity to see the front of the residence that was not, where your viewpoint was not blocked by vehicles as it is in picture 1?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you now what's been marked as Exhibit 1, Photograph 2, and ask you, is that a less obstructed view of the same location?
Yes, it is.
And if you can you point out for the jury where any entrance to apartment 1B is located on this exhibit, again, if you know.
Wow. I'm still kind of shocked by that. I've never, ever seen anything like that.
So this door right here is the common entry door. And then this door right here is the sliding glass door, the patio door for apartment 1B.
And ultimately, did you observe the area that was essentially taped off in case anybody wanted to monitor any evidence?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's been marked as picture number 1. I'm sorry, Exhibit 1, picture 3, and ask you, does that is that a viewpoint that gives you a good idea of the area that was taped off?
Yes.
Is it a true and accurate depiction of the area around 1B's sliding door area?
Yes, it is.
Now, ultimately, did you go inside the main entrance door that we see depicted on all 3 of these pictures?
Yes.
And when you went inside that, can you describe briefly what happens when you go inside the hallway? You can sit back down, sorry.
Because if they strike this testimony, they'll just re-ask the exact same questions and give the same answer. She did it to save time. It was the right thing to do. It was just weird that it got to that point.
Yes, so I walked inside the hallway, and on apartment 1B, I saw dried red fluid stains all on the door itself and around the door.
When you walk in, where is apartment 1B's door in relation to this front entrance?
When I walked in, it would be immediately to the right. There's a staircase, and then there's the apartment 1B door.
Is it on the first or the second floor?
On the first floor.
So is it the very first right? Is that 1B?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you now what's been marked as Exhibit 1, Photograph 4, and ask you, do you recognize what that is a picture of in the context of this case?
The
Yes,
door.
that is apartment 1B, the exterior door.
Is that the door you've spoken about already?
Yes.
Is that the stairwell you just brought up?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So what is the vantage point of this picture, if you know?
It's just showing everything in context as far as the stairwell, the mailboxes, and the apartment 1B door.
Where's the photographer at the point? Where's the photographer standing at the point this picture is taken?
A few feet inside the main entrance door.
So this is your view when you see the main entrance door?
It's a couple feet inside, yes.
Okay. When you looked at the area around the door at apartment 1B, you immediately saw some things that caused you concern?
Yes.
And did you, when looking at those, have an opinion as to what those items were in relation to you being concerned?
Yes.
What was your opinion about what you might be seeing?
It appeared to be blood on the exterior door and door frame and the walls around the door.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 1, picture or photo 5. Does this picture begin to depict the what you've identified as something that appeared to you to be blood stains?
Yes, it does.
Okay, could you approach this and simply point out for the jury the places you saw something you thought appeared to be blood?
Yes. So
I'll give him
these darker
$1,000
stains you see on the red door.
if he just goes and goes, Baby Ruth. I'll give him $1,000.
There's a number of those. Did you count them all?
I did not.
Is in this photograph, were you attempting to depict them in a broad view?
No.
Okay. Do you recognize, based on your training and experience, that type of blood stain?
Yes.
Okay. What is that type of blood stain?
Impact spatter.
And if you could, I'm going to ask that you sit back down for just a second. You're going to be doing a lot of this. I apologize. Can you explain to the jury, when you use the phrase impact spatter, what do you mean?
So impact spatter is when there's some kind of force which impacts on liquid blood. So force would hit the liquid blood and it would disperse into small blood drops and it would just scatter out onto a surface.
So what sort of object causes that sort of blood spatter?
It's either blunt force trauma or gunshots.
And what is blunt force trauma? So that
Blunt force trauma would be somebody getting struck with some kind of object like a bat or a hammer or some sort.
And what, if anything, can you say about whether those kind of impact stains that you're talking about would occur when someone is originally struck, or does the surface already have to be bloody for this impact to occur? Does that make sense?
Yes.
If a person's not bleeding, would we see this?
Or
is it, hold on, or is it after someone is bleeding?
There would have to be liquid blood involved. So somebody would have to have blood on them in order to cause this.
And based on what you see in this area of the hallway on the door and any other area in this immediate area, can you form an opinion based on your training and experience about how many blows would have to occur onto that bleeding surface?
My training would indicate two, at least two, I should say, a minimum of two. The first one, normally when somebody gets struck a first time, that's what causes the bleeding. And then the second time is where that blood would actually come off that person and disperse.
Right? Do you agree with me? Did I give the right answer?
Are you able to tell, based on the evidence in the immediate vicinity of the outer door of 1B and in the hallway, whether this door was open or closed at the time of these initial blows that you've described so far?
Judge, I'm going to object that this goes against the prior ruling that he can't talk about sequence of events.
Well, and I think
Well, I'm not talking about sequence. I'm asking whether you can tell if somebody is
There's
outside or
speculation,
inside.
though, there's speculation involved.
Heavy
It's
speculation.
not, and I can
Yes,
explain why.
it is speculation.
Okay,
All right, but we'll have our first
sure.
5-minute break of the day.
Oh God, they got to kick the
We'll
jury
go
out
back for a
already
second.
because of this schmuck.
Don't talk about the case.
All
and,
right.
If you need to go upstairs for a second, you can, but we'll be back with you shortly, I'm sure.
All right, for those of you just joining us, the Jay Leno Steve Martin hybrid is questioning Sloth from the Goonies on the stand about blood spatter on the outside of the door. Yeah, can we just have a do-over? Everybody go out, we come back in, we swear the witness in properly, we we go through the testimony normally, and we get him off the stand. See, that's what I was saying.
The basis on which he would be able to answer the question, which was, is the door open or closed in that outer, that outer door, is because in the interior of the door jamb, which is not something that's visible inside, there is blood that's in the interior, which can only happen if a door is open. So the door opens inside. If the bleeding or the impact occurred while you were inside the apartment, the door blocks it, so the jamb is only visible in the outer hallway when the door is open because it opens in. So his basis of opinion, it has nothing to do with testing or anything, it's that if you have blood in that interior door jamb, the only way that can happen is if the bleeding, that the spatter happens in the hallway, and the door must be open enough so that that door jamb is visible. That's it. That door jamb is not visible from the interior.
My recollection of the state's question was not of that nature. It was more so of how many blows had happened prior to that happening. It was more of then a sequence and then asking I can't remember it verbatim, but then it was calling for a speculation on a series of events. I think that a proper question based on our prior ruling with Officer Van Wee would be, what other stains did you observe? I observed stains in the interior door jamb. And did you make an opinion about that? But trying to tie in all of the stains that we can see in this area and then asking for a sequence of events should not be permitted based on the court's prior ruling.
And that's the exact point, or last point is the one that I was concerned about. Did the question relate to specific areas where blood was located, or was the question specific to the door jamb area?
The question that I asked that was objected to, probably because counsel is anticipating I ask a sequence question, but I did not do. I had not done that. My question was, essentially the question is, can you tell whether the whether these blows that you've talked about so far occurred with the door open or closed in the hallway?
Right.
Okay, because he can do that definitively because of the door jamb evidence. He can't say what order things happened in.
I beg pardon?
He can't say what order things happened in. He can only say, as to these stains I see out in the hall, the door had to be open.
But there are an array of stains, some of which are in the door jamb, and that is apparently the focus of your question.
Right.
But there is additional material that appears to be blood on the outside of the door, which could have occurred prior to the opening of the door.
Well, first of all, we need to establish that that is blood on the door. It could be freaking strawberry jam.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but I think you need to reformulate your question as to what.
Did I miss where they established this was blood?
Yeah, I tried to, but I will do it again.
Well, maybe I missed it.
Yeah.
But
I meant to, so I will certainly do it again.
And maybe you did, and I missed it. I don't know. But let's ask the jury to come back in.
Did I miss where they established that was blood? I don't think I did. I don't recall anyone ever testifying that that was blood on the outside of the door. Yes, this is a retrial, by the way. The first trial was a year ago. The DA gave the opening statement, the defense gave her opening statement, and then the defense immediately made a motion for a mistrial because the district attorney did not turn over new information to the defense. And the judge found that so egregious that he declared a mistrial. And now they're coming back to do this new trial. This is the retrial. And at the beginning, the DA got through his opening statement, and the defense, she got about 20 minutes into her opening statement when the prosecutor asked for a mistrial. In this case, it took them about a day and a half to argue it and work out that there would be no mistrial in this case. So it's mistrial all over the place. Bass says, I dislike this win at all costs, BS.
All right,
Also, Schroeder is an old turtle.
Greatly to rephrase the question, to tweak it a little bit. So go ahead.
Officer Van Wee, what, if any, evidence did you see of blood stain patterns that would lead you to conclude that the door was opened when a impact occurred in the hallway?
Same everything.
I'm going to object to speculation that the stain that we see in the door jamb was caused by being in the hallway.
It cannot occur from inside.
Well,
there's only two choices.
You know what? That's argumentative.
Don't argue this in front of the jury.
When we talked about argumentative,
It is an opinion that he can express based on his training and experience about.
This is improper to be be talking about this in front of the jury.
It's really an expert question at all, frankly. It's a common experience of mankind and humanity. And that's why it's actually argumentative. Why don't you give it another tweak?
Officer Van Wee,
I'm
as to the
trying
door
here.
in apartment 1B, does it open outward into the hallway or inward into the apartment?
Inward into the apartment.
And based on your observation, what, if anything, can you tell us about when the door is opened, whether the interior door jamb of that door is visible or not visible from the hallway?
If the door opens up, the door jamb it's visible from the hallway and then from the threshold of in between the apartment or right just inside the apartment door.
And if you are inside the apartment, is the door jamb visible at all?
The further you go into the apartment, then the less you would be able to see that door jamb.
And was there blood? Was there any blood that you noticed on the interior door jamb?
Yes.
What, if anything, can you say?
Say what, if anything, one more time.
About whether blood could be located on that, or where a person who experienced an incident where their blood, where there was an impact blood stain, where would they have to be located for their blood to end up on the interior door jamb?
There would be somewhere, as long as that door, when the door's open, as long as the end of that door doesn't block that blood from getting to that door jamb. So from outside or directly inside of that door space, or a little bit inside the apartment.
Okay, I'm going to show you now what's been marked as Exhibit 1, photograph 6. Is this a close-up and another view of some of the same stains?
Correct.
Anything of significance here in terms of your observations?
Just that its impact's better.
Whoa, Black Betty, Bramble Jam.
Impact that spatter.
Correct.
Okay, now I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 1, photograph 7. Is this a little further up on the door?
Correct.
And what, if any, significance is there of this?
Do
It
they
also
speak
shows
English
that
in
impact
if
spatter.
any motherfucker?
Okay, so when you say impact spatter, are you referring to an opinion that would be blood?
Yes.
Okay, and so there's a number of dark sort of spots on this and the other photographs. What, if anything, can you say about whether those spots are what you're referring to in terms of blood spatter?
The darker, small circular stains on the door are what I'm referring to.
Then I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 8 from Exhibit 1. Is this now almost to the very top of the door, so even a higher view?
Correct.
Okay, and what does this show of any significance?
The same, that it's the impact spatter stain.
So that proceeded up to the very top of the door.
Correct.
I'm going to show you now what's been marked as Exhibit or photo 9 of Exhibit 1. Any new significance to this, or is it just a further view of the same blood spatter?
Further view showing it going a little bit more to the side of the door.
Okay. Now Exhibit 1, photograph 10.
And same thing, just the impact spatter.
Okay, I'm gonna go now to Exhibit 1, photograph 14, and ask you if that what that's a picture of.
That's the exterior doorknob of apartment 1B.
And is that all it's meant to depict?
And you can also see the impact spatter above and below the doorknob and the lock.
Can you point that out to us?
Yes. You can see the small circular stains that are all over in here and even below the lock and in this area.
Right, I'm now going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 15 or photograph 15 of Exhibit 1. Is that a vantage point you recognize as well?
Correct. It's another photo of the impact spatter on the exterior door.
Okay, can you point out to the jury on this picture where those impact spatters are that you're speaking of?
Yes. Same, we're looking at the darker, small circular stains that are on the exterior of the door. So you can see them going all the way up in all these little darker spots that you see.
So, officer, about center of that, near the bottom third, there appears to be a sort of a wavy line there. Is that something of significance?
Talk about this, I do not believe so. I'd have to look at it from a different angle.
You're not attaching any significance to that?
I am not.
Okay. I'm going to show you now what's Exhibit 1, photo 19.
This guy just makes me want to stand up and do the truffle shuffle.
What area this depicts, if you know?
Sure. That is on the west side of the door, and stains that are both, you can see both on the wall here, and then you can see stains coming on the wall on this side here.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's been marked as photograph 21. Ask if this is a more, is that the same area?
Yes, it is.
The photograph captures it a little better.
Correct.
Okay, so one more time, describe what you're seeing here.
Again, I'm seeing stains that are both on the wall here. This wall right here would be the same as far as like the way it's facing, the same way as the door. So it's facing to the east. So this wall is the east wall, and then the door is facing east, and then this side right here is to the north. So you have a north and then the east side, which both displays blood.
And the door opens in?
Correct.
Is this on the interior?
An open door would
Of the
not block this
apartment?
area at all in terms of any blood spatter. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it appears that these have like a tail, or they have some movement to them. Is there anything different about the characteristics of these than the dots that we were seeing on the door earlier?
Yes. So tails, when you have stains like this, the tails that you see here, we're going to call all these lines that come off the blood-stained tails. They show the direction that the blood is traveling. So in this case here, the blood was traveling downward here, and then over here at angles and downward all over here. So all these tails are indicative of the actual direction of travel.
And if you know, why on the door aren't there similar tails?
It has to do with both the amount of blood that was deposited here as compared to the door, and the fact that these were down at an angle. When somebody is struck at a higher speed straight on, it's going to be small circular stains. The more of an angle those stains get deposited on the surface, then the more you're going to start seeing that more of an oval shaped stain as opposed to being round, and the tails on the stains.
Baby Ruth?
I'm going to show you now photograph 24 of Exhibit 1.
To swear him in.
This lower or higher on the door, if you can tell.
This is about the medium, mid door.
Okay. And what, if anything, do you see here of significance?
Same thing. You're seeing these stains that have tails and directionality to them, which are both on the east and north walls.
And what, if anything, does the directionality tell us other than what you've already testified to? Anything else?
No.
Okay.
He wants to run for congressman from Pennsylvania when he grows up.
Exhibit 1, photo 25. Are we now at the bottom of that door frame?
Yes, we are.
Go ahead.
So this is the bottom of the door, as you can tell by the door plate at the bottom. And then same thing, you can see that the stains are on the walls, lower down.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to turn your attention to photograph 26. Is this is this picture of the door opened?
Yes, it is.
Have you or individuals with you opened the door to cause this photograph to be able to be taken?
Yes.
Originally, when the door was closed, was there something you were not able to see that after you opened the door, you were able to note?
Yes. And,
what was that?
So this white is the door jamb, and in the door jamb, there are blood stains like right here, and then you can see some down in here. These stains could only be deposited if this door was in the open position.
And are they only visible then when the door is open as well?
Correct.
So I'm going to show you now what's photo 27. These are all Exhibit 1. So photo 27. Is this a close-up and a slightly different angle of the same area?
Yes, it is. You can still see the blood stains on the door right here, and then down in this area right here.
And you had previously shown us in the door frame a series of blood spatter stains with tails. Are those partially visible in this picture as well?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Is there a piece of tape or paper that's in the middle of Exhibit 27 there?
Yes.
And who put that there, if you know?
Officer Widener.
And why is that?
Just taking a scaled photo of the blood that's on this wall right here, and then the arrow just pointing downward to show direction.
Okay, I'm going to show you now what's been marked as photo 28. Does that have some additional depiction of that interior door frame?
Correct. It's a closer picture of the door, in the door jamb, of the blood, I should say, in the door jamb.
Okay. And is that the area you've testified is not visible if the door is closed?
Correct.
That's what he's been calling a door jam this entire time. That is not a door jam.
To your knowledge, to your training experience, is there a way that blood
door jam, eye hole,
the door was closed?
No.
Okay.
Maybe it's different in Wisconsin. I don't know. It's kind of odd.
And what is the stain or pattern that you see in that door jamb? So what is that, and what does it show you?
I'm not making a determination as to how this stain right here was deposited. Only to say that You can see how there's a little bit of flow to it, and it's where it's kind of drying up here, and a little more solid down in this area.
Officer, sometimes when you speak in the mic, we lose a little bit of it. So
Okay.
can you say that one more time and just
Sure.
try to be as clear as you can?
Okay, so I'm not going to make a determination on how the stain was deposited on the surface, but I will say that you can see how the stain flows in a downward where it's drying up here and it's a little more solid down here. When
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to take a look at photo 29. So is the door jamb also in the middle in this picture?
yes.
All right, so it looks like you have three different surfaces here: door jamb, door, and then wall, right, or door frame?
Correct.
Okay, so could you go through each one and just describe what you see there?
Sure. So as stated earlier, these are the oval stains that you see, and you can see how they line up, and they have the directionality of falling into a downward position. So
Okay, and let me stop you. And those are impact pattern?
correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So this stain here also has the same similarities as these stains over here, to where you can see the oval stain here and then the tail coming off of that oval. And you can also see that they're all, if you drew lines going up, at some point up there, they would all converge.
Okay, and I showed you something that you took a look at in picture 28 just before this. Is this a different part of the door jamb that we're looking at now?
It's lower on the door.
It's lower, so it's not the same location. We haven't seen this location in a photo.
Correct.
Is this an impact pattern?
Yes, it is.
Okay, on the door jamb?
Yes.
Okay. Is that an impact pattern that you believe could occur if the door was closed?
No.
Is it an impact pattern that could occur if the door was open and a person was in the interior of the apartment?
No.
Okay. And then the last part is the door itself. Are those depictions of the same blood spatter that we have seen previously in other pictures of the door?
No.
Okay. So what part of the door are we looking at here?
We're looking at the lower part of the door, closer to the ground, and then the corner of it. And then you can see also these stains are consistent with both direction and as these stains over here.
So do they appear to you to be the same impact?
Yes, they do.
All right, I'm going to show you now what is photo 30 of Exhibit 1. Is this a different location in the three areas that we see?
It's above where we were just looking at.
Okay, and what, if anything, do you conclude from these three areas? Again, door jamb, door frame, and door.
The same where you have
This
the
part
door
here
jamb,
is the door
and the
jamb.
wall. And you can also see on this photo,
This is
you
the
see more
frame.
stains on the door that have
Doesn't
the
matter.
directionality. So these stains are coming down, hitting the door, down, hitting the jamb, and also here. And same if you see that they all line up. So there's an area, if you went upward and put a line through all these, it would converge somewhere up there.
So the impact, are these all impact stains?
Yes, they are.
And so as for the impact stains on all three surfaces, do they appear to you to be the same impact blow?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Then I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 31. As to 31, is that a
Okay, there you go.
different angle, but a good view of the door jamb, the stain that you've already talked about?
Yes.
Okay. And then as to 32, is that an even more close-up of the stain in the door jamb that you've already testified to?
Yes.
Okay.
Door?
Is there anything else that you noted that you thought was of importance in the outer hallway, outer door, or door frame or door jamb from the outside of the apartment?
Just the fact that there was impact spatter stain on the door, and then on both sides of the door, and then in the actual door jamb itself.
And so far you've indicated that you observed what you believe is at least 2 blows based on what you talked about.
Correct.
Okay. After having observed this area in the hallway area, did you proceed into the apartment as well at some point?
Yes.
And did you observe things within the apartment that also caused you concern?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let me turn your attention then to Exhibit 1, Photo 34. And if, in general, can you tell me what this area is if you recognize it?
So that is the inside of the door of apartment 1B, the door we were just looking at in the hallway. This is the inside of it. And then you can see all these dark circular stains all over the wall and over the door, which are consistent with impact spatter.
Okay, and so this is the door closed?
Correct.
So where is the photographer approximately located when they take this picture?
Probably about 4 or 5 feet away inside the apartment.
Okay. And if I go into the sort of open doorway off on the side there, what room am I going into? On the, what would be on the right of the exhibit?
Inside of here is the kitchen area.
Okay. What room are we in from our vantage point looking at this door?
The living room.
Okay. So now I'm going to turn your attention to photo 35.
All of this to
What
forward
else
the
does
theory
this
the
show
door
us
was
in terms of
open.
pieces of furniture that we may be focused on, or area of the apartment that we might be focused on? What additional things can we see at this vantage point?
So this photo, you can see that this floor mat here, you can actually see the outline on the floor of where it used to be. And then if you look, you can see the little circular stains from the impact spatter on the wall. There are actually impact spatter stains on the wall behind this, which would indicate that this floor mat was moved to that position after those stains had arrived there.
And then what is the piece of furniture in general that we see on the right side of the exhibit against the wall?
It's a gray table or cabinet.
And what is the black piece of furnishing that's on the left end of the exhibit?
But this is a couch in the living room.
Now I'm going to turn your attention to exhibit photo 36. So is this that same door?
Yes.
Okay, could you point out what, if anything, you see that causes you to reach any conclusions in photo 36?
The same, there are the circular red stains that you see all over the door are consistent with impact spatter.
And then on the far right of this exhibit, is there something that you can see as well?
It's another stain,
okay.
a blood stain right there.
Are the stains that we see in this picture, is it your opinion those are blood based on what you have seen in this case?
Yes, it is.
And are those impact stains?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so are they a distinct blow from the blows that you've talked about so far that were where we talked about the hallway and outer door evidence, or are they could they be the same blow as you've already talked about?
These stains are similar to the stains that you saw on the exterior of apartment 1B door.
Okay, similar meaning that they could be the same blow or not?
Not the same blow, the same pattern.
Okay.
The witness is doing a lot of blow, I think.
Could they be the same blow?
They could not.
Okay, so this is a different impact.
Correct.
And this one, based on where this is located, is the evidence is in the interior of the apartment?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm going to ask you now to take a look at photo 37. Is this even closer up for a portion of the door?
Look at that blood just
showing,
just
the door
painting the
and then
town
lower down
red.
The door, the impact stains that are all you can see.
Fuck if I know.
There's a
I haven't
number
heard
of them
anybody
throughout
say
the
it's
photo.
blood.
Correct.
Now I'm going to show you photo 38. Is this the top of that door?
Correct.
What is of significance here?
The same, you can see the impact spatter stains both on the door, on the wall, and above the door.
So, officer, you've shown some low stains and some stains.
No,
that are
he's
above
Sloth
the
from the
door.
Goonies.
Should that have any significance to us based on your training and experience that some are so high and some are low?
It depends on the distance that the subject was standing when he was struck.
Okay. So without knowing more, you're not able to make a conclusion about that?
Correct.
Okay. Then I'm going to show you now what's been marked as photo 39. Is this also that door, but over on the side of it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So what do we see here that's of significance?
Same, you got impact spatter stains, and you can see some of the smaller ones that you observe have tails on that indicate that the blood is traveling downward.
And do you have an opinion based on your training and experience why some are larger than others?
Impact spatter stains are going to come off in all different sizes and shapes.
So again, that doesn't mean anything specific?
It does not.
And that is consistent with your training and experience?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you now what's been marked as photograph 41. Exhibit 1. Is this a close-up of some of what we've been observing?
Yes, it is.
And so when we get close up, what do we see that matters to you, if anything?
You could just see that, again, same as prior, that the drop is hitting the surface, and then as it flows down as it dries. So that's dry, and it wound up being, it's dry here, but it wound up being solid from flowing down.
It broke
You
my
said that's partly a
glasses.
function of how much blood is located in the droplet?
Yes.
Okay. If it's a smaller one, it doesn't have a tail?
That's not necessarily true.
Oh, okay.
If it's smaller, if it's a very just a.
Wait, I thought this guy specifically said he's not an expert.
You're not going to see this little bit of flow.
Whatever.
Gotcha.
Did he?
All right, I'm going to show you now what's been marked as Exhibit 42. Are all the dots we see, again, consistent with impact pattern bloodstains?
Yes, they are.
And then I'm going to show you Exhibit 43. Is that a close-up of some of those same pattern bloodstains?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 44. Is this above the entire door frame? Is that a close-up of some of those that we saw in the larger photo?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 45. Again, a closer up on some that we saw in the more distant one before.
Correct.
And then I'm going to show you 46. Again, even a little more close as to some of the specific ones we saw, much smaller in another photo.
Correct, and it's just showing that these are circular stains.
As to the blood stain impact pattern evidence that you've talked about around the door and this wall, are you able to reach a conclusion in this area of the apartment as to how many blows caused the blood stain impact patterns?
A minimum of 1.
So how many times has he been blown? Is that what he was asking him?
Sounded like it.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as photograph 50.
Was there any testimony that this is blood on Friday? Because I don't recall it.
Light socket and the
No.
mat. Are there
There
a
wasn't.
couple of things that caused you
What I thought.
concern?
I mean, I dropped a jar of salsa in my apartment the other night, and that was a scarier looking crime scene than these photos.
Above the mat.
Hey,
and
thank
then
you,
beside the
Kitty.
mat, and then above the mat.
They're just
I
red
literally did that
dots.
yesterday. Looked up at my
And then I'm
ceiling and
gonna
thought, how the
focus you or
fuck
ask you
did
to take a
spaghetti
look
sauce
at,
get on my ceiling?
Photo 51. That's the area you say where the mat was located previously, correct?
Hey, look at all
You
that
can
blood.
see the outline in the carpet from where the mat
So
was.
gory.
That's where the
And
missing
one
rug
more
is.
time, based on something on the wall, can you also tell that the mat has been moved after the blood impact hit or not?
Yes, so if we took away that mat, then you would see blood stains on the wall. So that mat had to have been placed there after these stains were deposited on the wall.
To simplify, otherwise
What?
the mat would block them. I'm going to show you what's been marked then as Exhibit 52. What is this? What matters to us in terms of this vantage point, if anything?
So a different angle, looking at their blood stains.
Look at that
where you
blood
can see
everywhere.
almost in totality from them being on the wall.
It's like The
above the
Shining.
door,
I can't.
how low they go on the door.
And how low do they go on the door?
To the bottom of the door.
Okay. Show you what's been marked as Exhibit 53. Does this, again, give you an opportunity to see some things close up?
Yes. And again, same thing where you're seeing the impact spatter on the back of the door.
Was the door handle or door knob that we see in this picture, was that of note to you as well?
There was actually blood stain on the doorknob and locking handle itself.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 54. Is that visible on that?
Yes, you can see the right there, the stain right there.
So I'm going to ask you to take a look at a different vantage point of that same room that we were in, picture 55. Do you recognize that vantage point?
Yes, I do.
So where's a person standing or located when they point
This is
their
the
phone
scene
or
this is
camera,
what I was
this
talking about
direction?
earlier. This is all the
Here's
blood
the
right
patio
here.
doors.
There's this blood here.
So that couch we've talked about and that table we've talked about, correct?
Yes.
It
There
could
appears to
be.
be another room. It's got a bike located in it. What is that room, if you know?
Dinette area.
And what, if any, blood evidence are you seeing in this picture that was of note to you?
In this picture, you're seeing overall some stains in the living room, both on the couch, where you can see saturation stains which have flow pattern on them here, and also that's saturated pool of blood in the middle of the living room.
I feel like the state
Officer,
really
where was the
oversold
largest concentration of blood you
this
saw?
bloody crime scene.
On the living room
Description.
floor.
Is that in this picture?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And how would you characterize that concentration of blood based on your experience at crime scenes? How would you concentrate it? How would you characterize that if you would?
Passive blood stain, which means that the blood that arrived here is from gravity, just natural. It's not projected out in any kind of way. So it's pool of blood, which means that the source was in the same area for a while, and that blood is just coming off of that source and then just saturating, pulling up on that area.
Now, when you say a while, do you mean hours, or do you mean minutes or seconds? What do you, or do you have any idea?
As far as this calls for speculation and an
Yeah,
expert
really.
opinion that Officer Vanby would not be qualified to provide.
We've been over this.
Sure. Do you have any idea how long somebody would be there to bleed that much?
No.
And I'm going to object as far as speculation.
Does he want to keep sending the jury out? I mean,
Officer, you've
These
been to
questions.
crime scenes before,
Correct.
including scenes where people were bleeding actively
Yes.
from a variety of types of wounds.
Correct.
Okay. How many times have you been to scenes where you were aware of and know that people were actively bleeding?
A great number.
More than 100?
Yes.
Okay.
Still gonna get objected to.
And
There's no way you can ask this question. Give it up, DA.
have you had an opportunity then to do the evidence work? In other words, to observe the blood and be the one who took all the
He's
notations,
not a medical
did all the
doctor.
recording of where persons bled and how much they bled.
Yes.
Based on all of that experience, would it take hours for somebody to deposit this much blood
Again,
or minutes?
I'm going to object as far as speculation because this officer doesn't know, and foundation, because this officer has no idea what type of injury led to that pooling of blood.
Other than the, and so this particular blood, based on the pattern, is somebody bleeding onto the floor. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's not an impact stain. It's none of those.
Correct.
Okay.
It's passive. It's from gravity.
Okay. Is there other blood that you haven't pointed out yet in this picture that caused you concern or that was of note?
Yes. So in this area here, you can see the darker spots, all these are, again, they're drip stains. And those drip stains are, again, from gravity. It's from falling down off of a person. It's not from being projected in any kind of way. So just gravity causing those stains to just fall onto the floor.
And those go from where to where in the apartment? It's kind of hard to orient ourselves in a picture. So those start where and go to where?
I don't know where they go.
I don't mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean where they begin and end. I just mean for purposes of your pointing them out.
Right.
What's the length?
They are roughly between the dinette area over here, and they go to a little bit down below the saturation stage.
Dude, pull that microphone out of your wherever it is.
The distance we're talking about there in general?
He's eating the mic at this point.
Probably approximately 4 or 5 feet.
It's worse than the DA. I mean, in the beginning, when he was doing opening statements, he was like really leaning
All right,
in there.
I'm going to ask you to take a look at Exhibit 56, photos 56. This was that table against the wall, sort of near that first entry door. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And were there things that were of note or items of note in your mind on this exhibit?
Yes, you can see more stains on top of the table itself. You can see stains are directionally on the wall here, and then stains consistent with impact pattern on the diffuser.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to take a look at exhibit picture 58. Is this a close-up of some of what you just described?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what do we see here? Please point it out and explain it where the jury can maybe see it a little clearer.
That all you people in LA
Stains
have.
where you can see stains that have their directionality on them, and then
I won't
stains
confirm or
that
deny that,
consistent
Jeff.
with impact.
Okay, so these are not those drip stains. These are, again, impact spatter.
The smaller ones are. I cannot give you a determination on some of these large ones, are in the fact that the stains around that are satellite stains. So you have them because of the surface that it fell on. The blood drop hit the surface. You have the center being the parent stain, and then small little droplets will form off of that, which we call satellite stains, and that's just because of the surface that it struck.
Okay, so which of what we see on here are impact stains? So in your mind, they are stains caused by blunt force impact.
These stains that have
It's just like
directionality here, and then these smaller stains that you see throughout.
So this
I'm
is
going
the
to turn your
table
attention to photograph 62.
that was
Exhibit
supposed to be
1.
covered in blood, according to Detective
Now, you
Anshin.
mentioned some
Other than the
stains,
blank
behind
space
on
where
the
that
wall. Are those visible in
rug
this
was,
picture?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
there was
where are those
blood
so the jury
coating
knows what
all
you're
livable
talking about?
surfaces, was the quote from the
Right.
opening statements.
Right here visible.
On the
right
wall,
here,
on the
here, all
ceilings, on the
directionality.
floor, everywhere.
Okay, so again, can you characterize what type of stain these are?
It's a light
Impact.
drizzle.
Okay, so those are blunt force
If that.
trauma related stains in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm going to show you photo
Right.
63. Is that a close-up of some of those same stains we just looked at?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And do they show any other qualities than what you just pointed out, or are they just a closer picture that shows a more detailed look at what you just told us?
Just a closer picture.
Okay. If we think about the stains you talked about that were over on the door and the wall as if you were leaving the apartment, and then this table that is up against the wall, but not the same wall as those other stains you showed us. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. In your opinion, are these the same? Are the origin of these the same blow, or is it a different blow than the blow you showed us on the door and the wall that would exit the apartment?
This would be different.
Okay. And can you tell us how many blows you believe would be needed to cause
Phrasing.
the impact stains you see over by this table?
I'm going to object as far as speculation.
I'm going to object as far as phrasing. How many blows to get the spatter on the table? What?
Overruled.
Go ahead.
A minimum of 1.
Okay.
He
That's
looks like
not
the
a-
murderer.
He has kind of a you know
Tweaker look.
I'm thinking like Todd Browning's Freaks. Like he has a little bit of the that one guy, you know.
That's why we've been calling him Sloth from the Goonies from the get-go.
I don't want to say Pinhead because it's mean, but the ears are. I mean, I have weird ears, but this guy also has weird ears.
I want to talk about this table a little bit that we've spoken about. I'm going to ask you to take a look at picture 64.
We need somebody to make a meme of
Just an
Sloth
overview
testifying.
of the side of the table.
Get on it,
facing
chat.
Towards that outer door we talked about.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then
I
I'm
see
going to show
3
you
drops.
a photograph
Very
65
bloody.
and ask you, is that a close-up of that same side of the table we just saw?
Yes,
Ah.
it is.
When we
Perfect.
look at this in close-up, does 65 show you anything that is of interest or note to you in terms of blood evidence?
Nope.
The same as pointed out earlier as far as the stains having directionality, and you can see that they're all coming from, line them up, source up above where they would converge.
Okay, for the jury purposes, they don't know how tall this table is. What would be your rough estimate, if you could just show the jury how tall this table appeared to you?
A minimum of 3 feet.
And this is all, everything we see in this picture is on the side of the table.
That's correct.
Previously, we saw those pictures which were on the top of the table, right?
Yes.
And the wall behind that table.
He was hit more than once
Now
with
let
the
me
door
show
open.
you
The end.
picture 66 and ask you, what is that a view of? Is that the same table?
It is the corner of the table leg, and I'm just pointing out that this stain is not impact spatter stain. It's different from the other stains that you see. You can see a flow pattern from this stain coming down. It's a thicker, larger volume of blood that struck that table.
Okay, and so what would be, so that's not an impact stain, or is it?
It is not.
Okay, and so instead, what would be, do you have an opinion based on your training and experience? What sort of thing would cause that stain of that appearance?
The only opinion I have is that it's from a larger volume of blood that came off of a source and was deposited on there.
And then are there stains?
He's like, I
then
got more
on
hair than
the-
you, motherfucker.
Is the far right of this exam the front of that table or not?
This would be the front of the table.
Okay, and does that have blood as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So now I'm going to show you what's been marked as 67. Is this then is this depicting lower? So if I understand correctly, the thing in the center is the corner piece, the corner leg.
Correct.
And then one is the side, one part is the side, and the other is the front of the table if you're looking from the living room. Is that right?
So this is the side, this is the corner piece, and then this is the
Natalie
front.
was going,
What do
Chet.
we see on the front?
Hello.
If anything of note in this picture.
Howdy.
The smaller stains that you see all throughout are consistent with impact spatter. And this stain right here and this stain right here almost appear to me to come from the same source, which is different from
This thing and this thing. Thank you very much for that
So-
technical testimony.
Even though they don't face each other exactly, they would.
One of my
they
biggest
would
pet
appear to be the
peeves
same source.
is like
Correct.
pronouns that are
But surrounded around them are
identified when people are asking
in
questions.
both areas.
Drives me nuts.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to turn your attention then to Exhibit 70. So orient me now. Are the blood spatters we just saw part of an area of this photograph?
It's a damn
Yes,
ocean of
Can you
blood
just
in
circle
there.
for the jury with your pointer the area we saw, if any, on the front of the table that we just saw those blood spatters on?
Right in this area here.
Okay, and then that table leg or that was in the center, is that visible in this?
It's right there.
Okay, and then the other part, the side view, is sort of shadowed in this picture, but it's visible as well?
Correct.
Okay. On the floor, right in front of this front of the table, was there an item that you thought was of interest?
Yes, there's a small piece of wood that was right here that had a reddish stain on it.
Okay, I'm gonna then ask you to take a look at photo 71. Is that a close-up of that same piece of wood?
Yes, it is.
And then I'm going to ask you to take a look at 72.
Is that the piece of wood they've been referring to this entire time?
Another picture that orients
Yeah, that's
where
the
that
chunk
piece
of wood,
is
apparently.
vis-a-vis the stains
That's
and,
like a
and blood
splinter.
evidence you've already testified to regarding the table.
It's tiny.
There appears to be a reddish item directly between the table and that piece of wood. The piece of wood is almost pointed towards it. Do you see what I'm talking about? Is that an item that is of any note to you?
Are we talking about?
Yep.
Okay, it's
It looks like a red lentil.
Okay, and is there any significance to that blood stain?
No.
All right.
Nobody's testified
Again, I'm
this
gonna
is
show you
blood yet.
exhibit, 73, picture 73. So is that a close-up of the item in terms of the piece of wood?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That was probably the
Let me show
splinter
you
of wood that was in his
exhibit,
finger that
74,
caused all of
picture
this
74.
blood.
Does that, is the piece of wood in that item?
Yes, it is.
Okay, where's that?
It's right here.
Okay, so does this show you how close it is, for instance, to the mat that you said is standing up now?
So the mat that's standing up would be, this is the couch, would be at the end of the couch right here.
Okay, and then that saturation of blood that you mentioned that was drip blood, not impact blood, is that located in this picture as well?
Yes, it is.
So these are, where is that in this exhibit?
That is right here in the middle of the living room.
So we talked about impact blood spatter at the front of the table, and we talked about impact blood spatter on the side of the table that is facing sort of where the door is facing.
Correct.
What, if anything, can you say about whether the front of the table could come from the same blow as what we have seen in any of the other areas so far?
For impact spatter to be deposited on the side and on the front, that would be the subject would have to be standing in an area somewhere where that blood could flow through the air and then strike both sides.
So it could be one blow.
Could be, yes.
Best testimony so
If you have
far.
the right angle.
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 75 in Exhibit 1. Where's this carpeting located?
So this is your divider between this is the door, this is the entryway as soon as you walk in the door, and then this would be the kitchen.
And then I'm going to show you what's is photograph 77. Is that a close-up of that same divider between the kitchen and the entryway?
Yes.
And is there something of note in that location?
This is a passive blood drop, so this fell due to gravity, did not fall from, it wasn't from a source of being impacted. And then same, because of the flooring and the surface of the flooring, you have the parent drop here, and then you have these little satellite drops that just formed around it. It's all one droplet or the same stuff.
And those are blood falling from some surface onto the floor.
Due to gravity.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you to take a look at photograph 78. Where's our vantage point here?
So this is the kitchen area here where we were just looking at that photo over here, and we're looking out towards that mat and the couch.
And then I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 79. Excuse me, picture 79.
Couch?
What, if anything, is of note in this picture? What do you see?
So we observed what we, on the floor in the living room in front of the cabinet that we were just looking at, that material that we determined either be some kind of fiber or hair.
So you took it because it could be fiber or hair?
Correct.
Let me show you exhibit or picture 80. Is that the same item or a different item?
I'd have to go back and look at the other one, but it appears to be the same.
Okay. So then I'm going to ask you to take a look at exhibit 81, picture 81 for a second. Are there some placards that are down on the floor?
Yes.
No.
And if you know, who placed the placards there?
Officer
The killer.
and myself.
And why'd you guys do that?
The placards indicate areas of evidentiary value of items that we observed.
And if you recall, what are the items that were placarded in that photograph?
So placard 11 is representative of the piece of wood, 12 the fiber or hair, 13 the fiber or hair, and 14 the shoe mat.
And so now I'm going to ask you to take a look at photograph 82.
I'm just waiting for
Is that
photograph
a close-up of something we've already talked
497.
about?
Yes, it is.
And what is that?
That's the piece of wood that we saw on the floor with the red stains on there, red fluid stain on there, and what we perceive could be a piece of hair or fiber coming off of it.
And that was found right at that location by that table?
Correct.
How large an item is this?
That's only, I'd say, 1.5 inches.
Okay. And you collected that and took it into evidence, I assume?
Yes, we did.
All right. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as picture 83 on Exhibit 1. What's our vantage point here? What are we looking at here?
So we're looking at the dinette area over here. So you got your living room would be to the north, and that's the south is dinette area. And you can see the front of that table that we were just looking at a little while ago.
So if you continued on into the dinette area, it looks like there's a hallway off to the right side. Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Just to orient us, what happens if you head down that hallway on the right? What if anything, do you come across?
There's straight ahead, there's a bathroom, and then to the north of the bathroom, there's a bedroom.
Did you go in the bathroom?
Yes.
And what evidence did you find in the bathroom?
Did not find any. Well, there was one glove that was on the floor, like a latex glove that was on the floor.
And what about in the bedroom?
No evidence in the bedroom.
So as to the vantage point we see here in picture 83, what, if anything, did you see that was of note to you in this picture?
Just there's stains both from here. I can see stains on the front of the cabinet. You can see the drip stains on the carpeting over here. This is kind of the stains that are going from this dinette area, or in between this, I should say, in between this dinette area and the living room.
Okay, so now I'm going to direct your attention to picture 84. As to 84, is this the dinette area you just spoke of?
Yes, this is a different angle of it.
And did you look in that area for evidence as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, directing your attention then to Exhibit 85. Is that a close-up of the floor area that is by that dinette?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and before you talked about a stain or stains that were leading to, and when I say leading to, I don't mean that, the stains that that were located in the same general area as that larger pooling of blood. Is that what we're seeing in this angle as well?
Correct. Between that large pool of blood and this area here, you can see drip stains forming in this area, in the dinette area, and then between the larger saturation stain and here, you'll see drip stains that are in common, that have commonality that go in between those two areas.
Okay, I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 86. Does that give us a better idea of where the furniture is located vis-a-vis what you've just talked about?
Correct.
What's the black or brown,
IJ, he's
dark
Binger's
brown piece of
boss.
furniture that we see
He trained
most prominently
Binger.
in this picture?
The dinette table and chairs.
My
So
favorite
then
thing about the DA throughout all these questions is that he's
photo
squinting
87.
really hard as if he's looking for the blood,
That
and
a
he can't see
closer
it.
view, but still not
Every single time.
close up of the rug area between the dinette and the next room.
Correct. Showing the indentations in the floor here. You can see an indentation in the floor here that from the dinette table that appears to have been moved.
You can't tell when it was moved, right?
Correct.
Could have been moved days ago.
Correct.
Could have been moved, it's just that the indentation remains, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 88. Is this that same rug area that we just depicted in 87?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you mentioned droplets or stains. Are those the ones you were talking about before?
Yes, these are, again, drip stains due to gravity that you see on here.
So these are not impact stains.
Correct.
These are not, you're not able to form a conclusion that any of these are due to any blow that has occurred at this location, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, let me direct your attention now to photograph 90.
Can we just take a 10-minute break, just
So
for the
is
hell
this
of it,
the
so I can
wall
say
at the
hi to
side,
Chandler and
bearings,
Natalie?
Of the serving counter before you get into the kitchen?
Correct.
Okay.
You see that there are stains on the opposite side that we were looking at before of this same gray table.
Okay. And then what about in the most prominent sort of pillar that we see there?
Also on the pillar, you can see that there's stains on there.
Okay, let me show you photograph 91. Ask you, is that a close-up of what we just saw?
Yes, it is.
And so where are you seeing something that causes you some concern or at least of note at this location?
I can tell you the smaller stains here that you see here, they're all lining up, appear to be impact spatter stains.
Okay, so on the floor, in the carpet just before this, you were saying these are droplet stains. Those were ones from falling, correct?
That's what it appeared to be.
But this is not the same. This is, again, impact stains?
Correct.
And what, if anything, can you say about whether the stains, based on the pattern you see here, could be the same blow as the stains on the door headed out and the wall headed out?
These would be from a different from the area by the door.
Okay. What about the stains at the table, where you said there's two areas of the table that have staining? Could these stains be that same blow that happens by the table?
No, it's on the opposite side.
So this is a distinct blow from any of the blows you've testified to so far, based on the patterns?
Correct.
Okay.
They're hearing devices. They're audio amplifiers.
That was 91.
This guy's not a bud splatter expert.
Officer, I'm going to show you now.
He himself said he's not an expert at the beginning of his testimony.
Is this the
No, he's just an evidence technician.
wall that's by the pillar
Different
that
kind
you
of
just
thing.
talked about?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And that's an outer view, correct?
Correct.
If I show you a close-up, is 93 a close-up of that same wall?
Yes, it is.
And do you see anything of note on this close-up of the wall that we just saw in 92?
See the stains with directionality in the wall here, and then the impact spatter stains on the wall over here.
And then I'm going to show you 94.
Of course you are.
Is that again a close-up of that same wall, different area?
Yes,
And what, if anything, do you note in this picture?
the same. Circular stains from impact spatter.
So we've talked about the pillar and now the wall. What, if anything, can you say about whether the wall and the pillar could be the same blow, or would they have to be different blows based on anything you know?
It is possible that they are the same.
Okay. Then let me show you a photograph number 95. Is this the top of that dinette table?
Yes, it is.
And then if I show you 96, is that show you some items of interest or that caused you to have some new information as to the dinette table and on its top?
So these stains here are all passive stains. So again, passive meaning they fell from gravity. They're scalped like that just because of the surface that it's on. It's just the way they dried. but these are all just formed due to gravity, not from impact.
So somehow either someone bled there or something bloody was dripped there.
Correct. So
Okay.
a bloody source had blood, which gravity caused the blood to flow out.
Did we see a laptop on that dinette table as well?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as photo 99. Is that the laptop that we saw a portion of in the other view?
Yes, it is.
And was there items on that on the laptop that caused you some concern as well?
Yes.
Let me show you a closer up picture, photo 100. Does that show us some of what you saw on the laptop on this day on the 19th?
Yes. These small circular stains have the resemblance of impact spatter.
So you believe those based to be impact based on your training and experience?
Correct.
Let me show you a couple of other close-ups of that same laptop, 101. Is that, again, depict a larger section of the laptop in close-up?
Yes, it does.
What do you see there?
The same, with the appearance of impact spatter.
At several locations?
Everything you see, all these, the red stains you see have the appearance of impact spatter.
And officer, again, based on your training experience, why do some of them have tails on a flat surface like this? This is not a, was the laptop sitting flat on the table?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so why would it have tails like that?
Just the angle that it struck, and then it has to do with the speed and the volume of blood.
And what causes, or what are the sorts of sources that would cause blood to move at a higher speed, for instance?
Just, well, gunshots are very fast, so just like a bullet hitting liquid blood a bullet's obviously traveling at an extremely fast speed. So when you're swinging, same if you're swinging like a bat or a golf club or some kind of object at a high rate of speed, and it strikes liquid blood.
My gut tells me this guy's going to get demolished on cross.
Passive, you either have projected blood or you have passive blood. So there's also a phenomenon called.
I tend to agree with you.
Like somebody with a bloody source on their hand or something rubbing a wall. So if the blood isn't falling naturally due to gravity, or if it isn't wiped there or put there somehow from rubbing from clothing or a hand, then it's projected out.
Is there any evidence here that you see that would be consistent with a transfer stain?
No.
Okay. Let me just show you a couple more pictures of this laptop. And is it 102? Is this a different corner of the laptop than we just saw?
Yes, it is.
And does it have additional evidence that is of note to you?
Stains that appear to be impact spatter.
And then finally, 103.
The same impact spatter stains.
Okay. Other than other than the laptop, were there some other items on that dinette table as well?
Yes, there were.
And when you looked at those, did you also observe some blood spatter on in those locations?
Yes.
Let me show you picture 104. Were these contents of the dinette table or a different area of the house?
The dinette table.
Okay. And were there blood stains or blood evidence you saw within this set of items?
Yes.
So let me show you a close-up, 105. Can you point out for the jury any blood type evidence you believe you saw in picture 105?
Yes. So on the receipt, you can see the circular blood stains. Here you can see this tube, you can see circular blood stains. The picture here, again, you can see directionality coming off of that. It looks a little different just because of the surface that's on. But there's also stains on this white rag or whatever that is there. On here.
These items, all the stains you're looking at least from your observation, it's your opinion those are blood?
Correct.
And what if anything can you say about whether they are blood spatter or what kind of pattern do you see there, if any?
They're definitely some form of impact. You can see that these stains have directionality to them, so which means they're not falling from gravity. They're falling at an angle.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 106. Okay, so you see that picture now. I'm going to ask you to take a look at even more close-up 107. So that's that corner of that picture. Do you agree?
Yes.
Any significance to that stain?
Yes. So within that blood stain we have here, we also appears to be hair or fiber that's that was actually adhered to that picture.
Within the stain itself?
Correct.
Okay. So based on all the items you've seen on this dinette table, right? We talked about the laptop, the child's picture with the blood stain on it. Are you able to form an opinion about whether these are the same individual blow that was at the dinette wall and pillar, or do they have to be a different blow?
With that whole area, I can only give you a minimum of one blow.
Okay, so one more time, the wall of the dinette area, the pillar of the dinette area, and all of the blood spatter on the table theoretically could be one blow, minimum one blow.
Minimum one.
Minimum one blow. Like, so 0 blows wouldn't have killed someone, is what you're saying.
I mean, one blow is not a lot of blows.
It's more than 0 blows.
I guess.
So I'm going to direct your attention now to photograph.
How about how much more do you have?
But it could also be enchilada sauce. We just don't know that it's blood yet.
Let's take a break, please.
Oh, thank Christ.
Sorry, I'm multitasking.
That's okay. We're just happy to have you.
Thanks.
I think you got a couple super chats.
Oh, all right.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's nice to hear clean audio again, first of all. Chandler, hi, about 2 hours ago.
Hi.
And Natalie, hi, about
Hi,
30
Jeff.
minutes ago. How are y'all doing?
Hi, Natalie.
Oh, hanging in there, you know.
Well, we've got this from our viewers.
What, if anything, is not a cure-all? It is not a cure-all.
It's such lazy questioning too. There's so many better ways that you can ask a kind of leading question without leading somebody. It's just
Ashley
not creative
Bailey
enough
did it
for
in
me.
the 50s, so it must be good. You know? Oh my God. That was torturous. Did both of you see the beginning when we got 10 minutes into it before Judge Schroeder realized he hadn't sworn the witness in yet?
I did. I was watching along. Yeah, that was something.
I mean, it's a procedural defect. Little
Yeah.
things happen. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but you know, it's something we try and avoid.
Yeah, but I mean, Jay Leno, the Jay Leno Steve Martin hybrid questioning sloth from the Goonies. It's getting a bit long in the tooth, but this guy took all the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But he said the beginning said he is not an expert, but he seems to be doing very, very experty things with his testimony,
Which is not uncommon. I mean,
yeah,
both sides generally try and, you know, you don't want to. I know with experts, it's just such different standards, things like that, and you have to have notice and you know, summaries. So a lot of times people will try and not certify an expert if they can get away with it. So,
Well, I'm just curious, was there not a better expert who could actually testify to the blood spatter analysis? I mean, somebody who's like a criminologist, somebody who's at least as qualified as Dennis Fung.
yeah, I mean, I think part of it probably has to do with poor planning with witnesses, is not expecting it to come up and not having that person who, and part of it, I think probably is for storytelling reasons, is they don't want to necessarily bring in right away the boring foundational, this is blood person, when there's, you know, especially when there's so many issues with the quality of the evidence and the actual blood that we discussed previously. How do we know that this is what it is? I think it's kind of lazy, just the way.
Do you think it's bad for the DA's case though? Because if I was a witness, I would be sitting there going, but who said this is blood?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the testimony? This is blood. You keep saying it's blood. Where's the blood? Oh, and by the way, speaking of by the way, you saw the bloodbath that was this, as they said, except for the void where the rug was in front of the sofa. Every livable surface was covered with blood. Was the opening?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you've seen Dexter, like that hotel room is what they're making it sound like.
That was what I thought of too. That
Yeah.
was my initial thought, and
Yeah.
that was the picture I had in my head. I mean,
Yeah.
even when they had the first detective testify, I was like, oh, this guy's seen some shit. Like he looks traumatized. And then I saw the photos, and I did a double take, and I'm like, where did it go? Is it somewhere else in the room?
Yeah, no, I was expecting a Dexter type scene. I guess there are lots of different interpolations of something being covered in blood, but
yes.
But the impression they gave is this guy is clearly dead because he bled out.
Mm.
I mean, now we go, is this guy even dead? They need to get away from this he bled out implication and get into he was just clubbed upside the head with a baseball bat repeatedly and
I
didn't
think it was
bleed.
Chandler who had mentioned in some other stream that I've watched bits and pieces of your stuff throughout, the past week, is that somebody's saying something about, I'm convinced, he knocked his head and got amnesia and walked away type of thing. What type of wound would bleed really heavily? Oh, head wounds? That looks like it could be the leftover blood from a head wound.
Well, and the one on the sofa it's at the top of the cushion is a lot. There's a big blood stain, and then there's a couple of spatters on the seat cushion, whereas someone with a head wound would have just laid back like this against the cushion for a while. I mean, this is,
maybe
and of course,
falling back onto the couch or something.
If you look at Law and Crime, I mean, this is just the most clear case slam dunk conviction ever.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there's so many trolls though too.
Yeah.
Trolls.
Well, speaking of trolls, I'm being accused of being a troll because I'm literally 3 hours behind on the super chats. Let me burn through these here real quick so people don't hate me. From literally 2 hours ago. Alex Murdoch needed her on his team. Do other judges get? Oh, do other judges get to use Judge Schrader's chair? He has like a throne. He doesn't have a chair.
If they're in his courtroom, they do. That doesn't leave his courtroom. That was for the the antifreeze trial. They did jury selection in Schrader's courtroom because it's a much bigger courtroom than the one that actually did that trial, and that's a very small courtroom. And he was sitting in it there, but I mean, no, nobody else really gets that chair.
I would like that chair in my office
I think he's
just to have this
earned it,
gigantic
personally.
throne.
I mean, he's been a judge for like 30 some years, so
He gets whatever chair he wants. Exactly. He says, looks like a bum. I'm not sure if we're talking about the DA, the witness, or the defendant. I'm not sure who we're talking about there, but Flux, Sloth from Goonies, absolutely. I say I'll give him $1,000 if he says Baby Ruth on the stand there. It's Michael Stetson. You've never seen Goonies?
I haven't seen Goonies, no. I'm not perfect.
I found the flaw in you, Chandler. So then it'll mean nothing if I say I'm tempted to do the truffle shuffle. So never mind.
But I think it's probably, let's have her describe what she thinks the truffle shuffle is, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What's the truffle shuffle? What do you think? You have no knowledge of Goonies.
I have no knowledge of Goonies, and so the first thing that comes to mind is a truffle pig kind of shuffling, across the ground when he's nosed a truffle and he's alerting people. I have no idea.
Incorrect.
I have no idea. None whatsoever.
I'll give you a B+ on that guess. That was good. It's a blunt force trauma as opposed to stabbing. That's what they're saying, except for the jailhouse confession witness guy.
Yes.
He's gonna say it was a stabbing.
Right.
Creed M, how the fuck is it blunt force trauma? It's BS. Well, see, that's what the blunt force trauma would do. It would cause that kind of a spread where you whack somebody in the head, and then you have the blowback or whatever the correct term is, or for the blood that sprays off of whatever you happen to be hitting someone in the head with, or just the direct splatter. A stabbing would just leave you a pool unless you hit an artery, then it would be like spurting everywhere. The blood lady was on Friday. Yeah, the blood lady was on Friday, but nobody said this is blood on the doors or the walls yet. But we're just assuming. Hopefully there'll be someone that'll do that. Duncan, Idaho, defense seems deceptively sharp as attack for those with those Valley Girl inflections. Nice to see Judge Schrader again too. I think she's pretty sharp.
I don't know if it's Valley Girl. I think it's actually a kind of a combination of different regions that she's from. She went to high school in DC. She went to college in at Columbia, and then she went to law school in Wisconsin. So there's a lot of like regional dialect differences there. I think she's kind of got just like a mash of everything.
I mean, I grew up in the valley for part of my
subtle
childhood,
uptake.
like in like the San Fernando Valley. Like that's not necessarily a Valley Girl accent.
Yeah.
I'm pretty familiar.
See,
Not anymore.
Chandler, you're about a 65% Valley Girl accent.
You think so?
You're like, oh, play back what you just said and listen to it. It's like, no, it's totally not a Valley Girl accent, you know. So you just said that. It was great.
I've worked hard to overcome it because I think it was like from 11 to 13 that I lived in, like Studio City or something like that. But it definitely changed my inflection a little bit. I have kind of like a broad California dialect because I grew up in lots of different areas of Los Angeles. So whatever people pick up on, I mean, it might change when I'm tired. I might like let some things loose a little bit more.
And Terry Bell says, haven't watched first 5 days. Give a summary. Guy is accused of stalking and killing his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend, but so far there's not a single bit of direct evidence. There you go. That's the first 5 days. That's the best I can do in the time allotted to us. You might want to go back and watch some of the other streams. Check DM for meme. We just showed your meme. Thank you so much for that, Q Revere.
Or if nothing else on your F It Friday, you do a little bit of a summary of what was going on there in the beginning. So they can also watch your F It Friday and get it. So
true.
Yeah, I really can't remember a lot of what was discussed on that show.
It was in the very beginning.
I remember doing it now that you mentioned it. Yeah. Did they test these stains to see if it was blood? I'm assuming they did. They'll just need someone to testify about that. Bass DA squeezes his face as tight as possible to facilitate thinking of stupid crap to say like eye hole and directionality. Is that just a tick thing he does where he's just like always squinting at things, or is it just hard to see, or what?
I think he's just looking for the blood evidence where there is none. It's I mean, there are all these little
blood in the
flecks.
picture.
That apartment is really clean, like shockingly clean. I mean, compared
to blood, but
of blood. Yeah, everything else no. I mean, if I'm saying you have a messy apartment, you've got a messy apartment. Legal Vice, did the cops ever consider that the girlfriend performed the act? It's not uncommon for women to attack men if they found out / or suspect they'd been cheated on. No, exactly the opposite. I mentioned earlier that the DA made a motion for a mistrial halfway through the defense's opening statement. That's because they made a specific reference that could have been interpreted to specifically saying the ex-girlfriend may have done it, which led to a day and a half of briefing and arguments. So yeah, they specifically don't want to consider the girlfriend as someone who performed the act.
Yeah, that was, I believe, an argument against, there was no Denny motion. And they apparently defense had made a Denny motion for the other witness on the scene, Campbell, and that one was rejected. And I believe that Schroeder said something to the effect of, well, if you had given me a Denny motion, if you had filed a Denny motion for, that particular, for Sadie, then perhaps that could have gone somewhere, but they failed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And B. Jefferson, we're getting down here. We're halfway through these. B. Jefferson, so they don't have the defendant on video here or cell phone data showing him in the area or anything. Nope. No ring cams, no CCTV from businesses, nothing. Just that they don't like each other and he's missing and there's some blood. So far, but again, we're still I hope we're about midway through the prosecution's case. This is expected to end on Friday, but there was, like I said, that day and a half thing. So I'm guessing probably early to mid next week is when they're expecting it to end. Fleet Admiral Rindick accidentally had a nail gun put up a framing nail through my foot. Ugh. They were significantly more messy than what is depicted here. Keep up the great work. We just chat was just full for like 20 minutes of there's more blood in this than the house. Leave Sloth alone. The mic probably tastes like a baby Ruth. Chandler, your homework is to at some point in the next 24 hours watch Goonies, so we can have an intelligent conversation here.
I will make my best effort. I have some LSAT prep to do, but I can put on Goonies. I could definitely
priorities. Chandler.
Okay. I can at least watch a YouTube clip.
This guy sounds like Weird Al. I think you're talking about the DA. Lancelot 652, it's like 5 drops. Where is the horror movie I was expecting, right? Duncan Idaho also, again, looks like he's going for the what if anything. That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Jeff K, how do you feel about this DA? This was directed at you, I believe, Natalie.
How do I feel about this DA?
Yeah.
Man,
she's a
probably
defense
the
lawyer.
same way that you guys feel.
But you have to deal with him, though.
I do. I think that I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah.
That's fair. Respect.
David Edwards, Hair Club for Men. He's not just a member, he's the president. Talking about the witness. Creed M. Natalie, could you inform the defense that leading objections exist? This witness is answering with yes. Correct, too. This should be a direct, not cross.
Well, the thing about
Everybody's
it, though,
being
you have to remember is timeliness is a thing. Is if it's something that is foundational or there's very few ways to ask a question, I mean, it's sometimes easier just to go through with it because like Jeff was talking about earlier, you know, sometimes objections can be grating. There's a very fine line you have to draw between objecting and not objecting. And if it's something little like that, that's just going to keep things moving. I mean, I wouldn't object unless it's something that is, you know, it really just depends upon strategy and the general flow of everything.
And if you can answer one question with a leading question, and then you make the objection, then it takes you 5 or 6 questions to ask it in a quote unquote appropriate way. You've made everybody
just waste
unhappy.
everybody's time. If it's something that's going to come in regardless, and it's really one of those. Do you want to be that guy? Do you want to be that guy? Because that might make the jury not like you.
Walter Deadman, is this the fluffer man behind the fluffer boy? Moving right along. Flux, where is DA Sue Oper? We want her. I don't understand this ball sack of a DA.
She's in Waukesha. That's a different county.
Waukesha is not the same. Although
David Edwards, congratulations on becoming the newest member. All right. And literally the next super chat is designed specifically for her. Is he trying to prove the murder occurred here or that the defendant committed it? It seems like the jury is being asked to assume the defendant's guilt based on the presence of random blood. Precisely, Excalibur. That's what's happening. Congratulations, you figured it out. Exactly. Goonies is why Deadpool calls Cable One-Eyed Willie in Deadpool 2. You're missing a huge section of culture. Just work it in. Don't watch the clips. Just yeah.
I mean, I have some catch up to do for sure.
Just Goonies. Goonies will take care of about 80% of all social references.
Okay, that's fair. I can do that.
There's far more going on there than even. Chaz Berglund says for the truffle shuffle, it's got to be a lot more than $20 for that to happen. Trust me, but we'll keep you in mind. And Mandy,
for the reference or to do it?
To do it. Mandy, if the LNC crowd were as passionate about actual real world problems as they were about bad prosecutors, we would probably be living in utopia. Oh my God. Is the trial back yet? With trials probably like way back. Oh my God. Oh, good. Jeez. I just realized I'd closed the window and couldn't see if they were back in court yet. All right, let's scared me. I was just waiting for all these boomer comments and
we're still
we're still on the break.
Back on, right? Okay.
Yeah, good.
So let's talk about. Do we have more super chats?
I'm scrolling up here and checking. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, probably living in utopia. Just got that one out of the way. It's like while I'm reading those super chats, and like 200 more chats came in. I got to go filter through them and make sure I got all of them.
To that comment, I feel like they're more passionate about bad defense attorneys because I've seen a lot of negative comments about this defense attorney, a lot of which are very sexist in my opinion. Particularly saying, oh, she's flirting with her client, she's sleeping with him.
Oh God, yeah.
She's being very unprofessional. It's very obvious. And I'm just looking at that and I'm going, you know, lawyers have friendly relationships with their clients. We saw it between, you know, Camille Vasquez and Johnny Depp. It's a very intimate relationship to represent somebody, especially in a case that they could go to prison for the rest of their life or potentially, you know, face the death penalty. I don't know if this guy's not facing the death penalty, is he? No, but I take a lot of issue with that, especially because I find her to be incredibly professional and very well spoken.
Hey.
I like this defense attorney a lot, and so I find a lot of the comments very offensive. But you know,
the big thing today is she's a hussy. She's showing so much skin, and she should be kicked out of court for revealing so much. And I'm like,
yeah,
what?
No,
I haven't seen anything yet. just like
No,
law and
she's
crime
been
just
very
needs to be just.
professionally attired.
We do have one comment for you here, Natalie.
Oh, I
Specifically
know. I saw
directed at
it.
you. Yeah, sorry for this quick simp, Natalie. I just wanted to say you're super attractive, and I've been smitten with you since the Rittenhouse trial.
Thanks. My boyfriend's been smitten with me for longer than that.
Boom, nuked you, bud. Sorry about that. Crushing his dreams.
That's okay. It's just what I do.
Well, you've got
You would be
admire
surprised
history.
how many like random letters I get from people in prison that are like, "I'm still thinking about you 3 years later," and I'm like, "That's gross." Like, you just told me you've been masturbating about me for 3 years. Like, no, I'm not gonna call you when you get out of prison. I'm sorry. You were a client.
Oh no, that's rough.
Yeah.
That would breach professional ethics. I don't think
It
that we can
would.
really.
I
We
mean-
can't really go there.
No.
No.
I don't even know where to go after that.
Well, I will go somewhere with it. So
wait, you got us here. I don't want. Are we going to go further? Are we going to backtrack? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
It's terrible. I'm sorry. I this is one of the reasons I don't stream more often is I just can't keep my mouth shut.
Oh no, it's great. Go
I
ahead.
say terrible things.
Talk about prisoners masturbating. Why not?
Yeah. Anyway, but you had mentioned earlier something. There was a question about the JAG traveling trophy thing. That story I had told.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What that was is one of the defense attorneys on the table, one of the men, used to be a JAG prosecutor, and he left the office because they started doing the traveling trophy. That's how the story came up. That's just an example of how fucked up prosecuting offices get. And how it turns into a game for a lot of people is there shouldn't be a traveling trophy for the month who sentences the people to the most years in prison. That's not justice. That's
no
entirely punitive.
Because everybody wants to win the trophy, you know. So hey, let's see. The thing I like about Judge Schroeder is he's like, oh, we'll have you step out for 5 minutes, and like 45 minutes later, he's like, okay, the jury's coming back. This 10-minute break is. I'm glad the 10-minute break was long enough for me to get through like 40 super chats.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. One of the juries yesterday was threatening to bring a stopwatch. I hope he was being facetious about it. That was kind of funny. My gosh. So what? Am I missing something here? But I'm still seeing a big nothing from the prosecution tying him in any way to this. They have the little microscopic speck of DNA in the back of the van from Friday, but they've addressed that in the opening statement, saying that they're going to have someone on the stand to say that the deceased person broke into the vehicle of the defendant previously.
I think you got that backwards. It's the defendant who broke into.
The defendant broke into his first, and then there's text messages saying, "I'm going to give him a taste of his own medicine," and then he allegedly broke into his vehicle.
Then
to get back in revenge.
Take back what I said. I think I missed that little comment. Although, I mean, is there evidence that he went into his vehicle? That Rosario Gutierrez went into the defendant's vehicle?
Yeah, his DNA's in the back of it.
Right. But it's not blood DNA. It's like touch DNA or something like that.
Well, it was too small to determine if it was blood or not.
Well, and was it definitively his, or did it just not exclude him?
Well, they said they couldn't tell if it was blood. It was too small to determine if it was blood. It was a single source male DNA that was his.
Okay, and so it's definitively his. It's not that it was.
I don't recall them saying it. Yeah.
Okay, because that's a big difference. It could be him, and it definitively is him. Are two different things. I don't know. These are a bunch of swingers. Maybe the lady had his DNA on her and then got in his car.
I mean, the challenge is that the way that Gravely presented it in his opening statement, and correct me if I'm wrong, but his opening statement, he made a definitive claim that Rosario Gutierrez's blood was found in the defendant's vehicle. He said that. Is it? I mean, I could be getting that wrong, but when Nicole Muller got up and did her opening statement, she countered that, and she basically said, I don't know where they're getting that from, because that's not true. I find that kind of egregious to make that statement, because that is if his blood were in the vehicle, that would be very, it would look like that's indicative of guilt.
Mhm.
But we're not seeing that here.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that opening statements aren't evidence. And, you know, if you look at the way he's phrasing it, is he believes the evidence will show this. He can be very, very wrong, and that's going to come back in his face if he is wrong. That's the type of thing wherein, you know, in a closing statement, you know, you come in and say to the jury, you know, if I remember correctly, this guy said that this was definitively going to be in there. And you know what you didn't see in this entire trial? That thing that he told you it was going to be there. So he's either lying to you or he doesn't care what the truth is.
Well, what the witness Friday said, the blood witness, she had said in a report that someone asked her to confirm if it was blood, and she said she couldn't confirm that it was blood. And her explanation for that on the stand was, well, I didn't see it. I didn't test it, so I personally could not confirm that it was or was not blood. Because I didn't process it. And then he gave well, in your opinion, looking at the color and shape of it, what do you think it may have been? And she said, well, it looks like blood to me. So that's kind of how they're trying to get around that little thing.
Hey, the thing about it, though, is you have to remember that juries are there for a lot of that as well, as they're going to be having the same questions that everybody else has. And, you know, there's something that Jose Baez actually had said, you know, if you listen to his book on Casey Anthony trial, which I thought was really effective, like in his opening, and that was, you know, that there's going to be certain questions. And the reason I bring this up is because that case, you know, still crime scene type of similar thing. You know, if there's certain questions that you still have at the end of this that the state's not able to answer, then they haven't proven their case.
Right.
And this seems to me that same type of thing is, you know, there are certain questions that, you know, aren't going to come necessarily to play. Like, why did somebody do something? They don't have to prove motive. So that's not, you know, something that can be relative in that context is, you know, at the end of the day, if they can't prove why he did something or didn't do something, then that doesn't matter. But there are other things that need to be answered in order for the state to prove their case. And if they can't do that, if they haven't answered that, then they haven't met their burden.
And regarding the presence of the allegedly deceased person at the defendant's location, Zenith Anderson says Rosalio's phone GPS put him at Zach's house.
Yes.
But was Zach also there at the same time?
Don't know.
Circumstances matter.
Aussie, you're awake. Get in here. She said she could say with a degree of certainty that it was his. Yeah, 0 degrees is still a degree of certainty. Wow, this is a very long 10-minute break. Is Binger and other Kyle prosecutors still in office?
Kraus works for a different office now. Binger's still there.
Has Kraus decided he's going to be a defense lawyer now?
No, works for the Department of Justice. He does. He's a special prosecutor for Len bias cases.
Oh,
I didn't. That's all I can tell you.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Mang says super chat just for saying Baby Ruth, and also Natalie Wisco and Chandler Jeff too.
Baby.
Also love. Yeah. There you go. All right. That was fun. See, Chandler, just watch it. You'll figure it out. Just took his lunchbox and left.
See, I did stop into I don't think I came up on camera at all, but I think it was Thursday last week. I was in court for probably the last 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah. You said you were going to pop in.
Yeah. Jury demographics, mostly women, a little older women, men. There's probably one guy in his 30s. Everybody looks pretty blue collar. You know, it looks like a decent jury pool for everything, all things considered. And, you know, also just when I was in there, you know, I think it seems to be, you know, the right type of people who are actually going to consider the evidence. At least from when I was in there, everyone was very much paying attention. So, you know, hopefully it's a good jury.
That's good.
I trust a Kenosha jury considering the conclusion that they came to in the Rittenhouse trial. I have faith in them a little more.
Well, Kenosha in general, as in the state of Wisconsin, has the highest jury trial rate in any county in the country, just because of the type of cases they bring. Not in the country, rather in the state, not in the country. Highest jury trial rate in the county, as the county in the state. So I mean, not Kenosha juries bring back not guilties all the time.
Oh,
No, and in the future.
looks like one of the jurors was excused
We'll
for being
continue
ill,
with the number of
for
13.
having cheers.
And let's
Chills, not
continue
cheers.
with the state's case.
And real quickly, Vices, I'm writing my Ontario barrister exam on Wednesday. Wish me luck. Also, stream is great. Great luck on that. Get it. Go after it. Get it.
A view picture of what part of the apartment, if you know.
Oh, God.
So
Yeah, still
between
much
the
more of this to go
dinette
through.
and the kitchen, there's a cutout, so you can actually view like the kitchen from the dinette area. And this is above that cutout in the dinette area.
I got to keep trying to do some work. I'll pop back in later.
Stace.
All right. Take care.
Natalie.
Let me now show you a picture.
Always great to
109.
have Natalie.
I love
In
having
relation
her.
to
It's great.
108, in relation to 108,
Looks
was
like
this
somebody
same
wiped a
area
bloody
of the
booger on the
or
wall or
ceiling
something.
depicted in 108?
Yes, it was.
Could be
Go back to
mosquitoes.
108 for just a
It's
second.
like slap mosquitoes all over
Can
the
you
walls.
point out where in 108, 109 is
It's
located?
a badly lit photo for sure.
All right. The court is
So,
way
yeah,
quiet. I'm going to
Blood
have to bump
stains
it
with
up here.
directionality up in this area above that kitchen, this whole cutout area here. So that close-up picture is insignificant.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to 109. So what, if anything, do you observe about these particular?
Okay, everybody, now that we've restarted this,
Blood stains you can see.
let me know how the audio
again, have
sounds.
Directionality.
Everybody balanced, everybody good
in this
with the court?
direction
Let me
here,
know in chat. Thanks.
Downward in this direction.
And do you have an opinion as to what the source of those are in terms of drip, et cetera?
Yes, their impact's better.
Okay. Now let me show you 110. Do these show the same stains or are these different?
These are different.
Okay, so what do you see here?
The same, yeah, impact spatter with stains that are elongated and have directionality to them.
These are on the same wall as that original exhibit we just looked at?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'd ask you to take a look at picture 111. And is that the same stains that we just saw?
Several of them are the same, and then you can also see stains actually on the wood here, and I believe this one and this one we did not see previously.
Okay. And can you tell me what the origin of those are? Are those impact stains or something else?
They are impact pattern stains.
I'm going to direct your attention to photograph 113.
Why does he look like he's just constipated? Oops, sorry.
I'm telling you,
can
he's
tell
squished.
that
He's
a
looking for the
close-up of
blood.
one of the ones we just saw.
He can't find it.
It appears to be yes.
And
He needs
point
some
out
reading
any
glasses or
significance
something.
of that, if there is any.
You can actually see some smaller impact pattern stains right here, both are elongated, and same where this one's elongated and has a tail showing directionality.
Okay.
We should get a GoFundMe together to get
114.
Michael
I
Gravely
think, again, this is a
LASIK
close-up of
surgery.
that picture of 3 very prominent ones we saw just a couple pictures ago.
Correct.
Anything of significance here?
No.
And then 115. Again, a close-up of the third of those. Anything new on that?
No.
Okay. Can you indicate, based on where these are located, do you have an opinion about whether they are the result of a separate blow or the same blow of any of the blows you've already talked about?
They could be from the same event that occurred on top of the dinette table and on the wall.
Okay, so the laptop area?
Correct.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 116. Are these in the center of the exhibit, some of the chairs around the dinette table?
Yes.
All right. Then a close-up of that chair at the dinette table, 117. Is there a jacket on that chair?
Yes.
And then are there items that are of interest to you in this? You don't have to point them out right now, but are you seeing something that is of interest to you in terms of this particular picture?
On top of the chair itself, the seat bottom, you can see stains are consistent with drip stains from gravity.
Okay, so I'm going to go to 118. If you could just point out what you're speaking about if it's on that.
All these circular stains that you see on the chair surface here are drip stains, and again, they're from gravity falling straight down.
Now I'm going to show you 119. Is this an area in close proximity to that dining room table, but a little off to the side?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then a little slightly closer up, 120. On these two sort of Easter basket type items, do you find some evidence you believe to be blood evidence?
Yes.
Okay, let me take you to 121.
Oh, this is going to be a long,
121, one of the contents of those
long
Easter
exercise
Yes,
in
it is.
introducing
and
photographs.
where do you see any blood evidence if you do in this exhibit 121?
You can see it on the bag here and on top of these Easter egg cases.
And what type of stain are these, if you know?
Egg dye stains.
So on the bag, you can see that there's smaller stains with directionality on these.
Beet
which has
juice.
appearance of impacts better, and on these, I'm not actually going to make a comment as to how they were deposited, or just the fact that that is blood.
He dyes his Easter eggs
So
with human
let's go back to the
blood.
bag of 122.
That's dark.
Is that a close-up of some of the stains on the bag?
Yes.
Okay, and you were indicating what about those then, pointing them
That-
out?
Those appear to be impacts better because of the fact that you can see that they have, they're elongated and they have tails on.
That also sounds very Dexter.
There's multiple of them, so indicating that they're coming at from a.
That looks like egg dye to me.
So these are
Sorry.
not drip stains similar to what we saw on the chair by the jacket just a second ago.
Correct.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 125. What, if
I'd
any,
just love for
blood
somebody to
evidence
tell
do
me,
you
is
see
this blood?
in this Christmas, or I'm sorry, Easter basket?
On the Lego box here, you can see a couple of stains here, and on the top of the box, you can see a few stains up here.
And do you, are you able to identify any type or pattern on these?
No, I'm not.
Did he have a daughter? I hope so.
I'm going to proceed over to photograph 128.
He just likes Princess Jasmine.
Do you recognize this countertop in the context of this case?
This is where the kitchen cutout is between the kitchen here and then the dinette area back there.
Okay, so this is taken from a viewpoint inside the kitchen out.
Correct.
Then let me show you photograph number 129. On that surface, is there any evidence you believe to be blood evidence?
Yes, there is.
Can you point it out briefly to the jury?
Yes. So all these stains are suspected blood.
Okay, before you talk any more about them, let's take a look at picture 130. Is this a close-up of many of those same stains?
Yes, it is.
And what, if anything, do you note about these when you see their appearance?
That is the defendant.
Directionality film, so you can see the stains. The direction is they're all going.
Rosalia Gutierrez does have children.
So,
Yeah, he has one daughter and one
do you have an
son
opinion
from
as
two
to
different
the
baby
type
mamas,
of
I
stain
believe.
These are drip stains, etc.
My opinion would be impacts.
Now, if we go further on that same counter, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 132.
He's got to stop with those facial
This
expressions.
the end of the kitchen counter.
It's
that we
very
just saw?
distracting.
Correct. So this is the sink. The actual cutout is up here, and then this is the counter next to this.
Okay, so we see prominently here a cleaning tool. Near the cleaning tool, is there something that would be something you thought might be blood, or do you have an opinion is blood?
So suspected blood on this circular, and then this circular.
Okay, so if I show you picture 133, is this a close-up of one of those locations?
Yes, it is.
Where is it?
There's a circular stain right here.
Does that appear to be fit a pattern for you?
My opinion is that those stains came from the dinette area and over through the cutout and were deposited on the surfaces.
So I was going to ask you whether this appears to be at least consistent with a blow that we've already talked about. Do you believe it is?
Yes.
Okay, and that would be the blow that happened by the dinette?
Correct.
Okay.
Aiden has
And you
joined the
indicated that
stream.
there
Good
was
good
another
early
one on
morning,
the
sir.
counter view, so I'm going to have you take a look
Oh,
at
Hayden.
photo 134.
Excellent.
Is that to show you that second one that's on the counter itself?
Yes.
Any difference in terms of observation or the opinion you've rendered about the one that's next to it on the far right?
No.
And then I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 135 or photo 135. Is that the blood you were talking about that was right on the very edge of the sink?
Yes, it is.
And that edge of the sink is to that counter that we saw in the previous picture?
Correct.
And again, based on your observation of that, could it be the same blow and is it the same pattern?
Yeah, my opinion is that those drops came from the dinette area through the cutout and landed or deposited.
Stick that was on the DA's ass. Love it.
All right. So in terms of the area over by the dinette area, were there any other blood stains other than what we have shown you in all the different areas in these pictures?
No.
Now, you also focused on some areas regarding the carpet in what I'm going to call the living room, if you continue towards the sliding doors, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you've already indicated there was some seepage blood, I think you called it a pool of blood. Saturated, a pool of blood. And also that there was an area, did you say it was a void? Did you use that word earlier?
Correct.
Yes.
Let me show you what's been marked as 136. Does this picture, first of all, is this a picture again of the vantage point of the area you said was dripping blood and then the area that you said was a saturated pool of blood? Is that depicted in this exhibit?
Yes. So this area over here is where the dinette.
Wow, that room is so much smaller than I thought it'd be.
And you're looking out
right.
the patio doors and into the living room.
Okay. So is the seepage or the pooled area in this picture?
Yes, it is.
Can you just point that out so we are oriented?
You're saying the rug was
and then
here.
When you indicated that there was an area that you felt was a void, what do you mean by that?
So you can almost see.
Stop giving a blowjob to the mic, okay? We need to actually understand you.
Saturated stain, and on this side, where there's almost like a line, and it almost forms like a square right here. So, and we can look at it at different angles too, and you can see a little bit better. But so this would.
It was a Mighty Meat. Everybody
Hey,
check out Mighty Meat's channel. He needs lots of subs too.
There was something or some object that appeared to be some kind of area rug that was right in this area here.
All right, so let me show you picture 145. Is that another picture that shows the lined area that you're talking about?
Yes. So, and you can even see that there's almost a color difference. This carpet here even looks whiter than the main.
To be fair, MG Law, could you imagine how much longer this would take if this idiot was not being leading at the moment?
Where you can see it squared off right here in this corner here. And you can see that something was in this area that's now not.
So this is the most blood in the entire apartment.
Did you in some way either measure that area or preserve or in some way?
There were photographs with scales in them taken, and then we also cut that piece of the carpet out to save it for others.
What would be your estimate about how large an area had been occupied by an area rug there?
I'd have to actually see the scale photographs.
Okay.
Is it crossed yet?
Let me show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 137. Is this the blood area that approaches the saturation area?
Correct.
Okay. Anything of note here?
So you can see this is the dinette area, and you can see the drip stains again. These are formed due to gravity.
But was there enough blood there for them to actually test it this time?
In this area here, that's between where that saturated stain is and the dinette area. They seem to have a pattern where you can see where they're moving together.
Is there any evidence in this picture on the floor that appears to be impact blood?
No.
Okay, so this all appears to be drip blood?
Yes.
I'm going to turn your attention to 138. That's a close-up of part of the area we just saw in 137.
Correct.
Anything specific of note here that you didn't just point out?
No.
139. Again, a close-up of the area that was in 137.
Correct.
Other than showing a close-up of the drops that you just mentioned, anything else of note in this picture?
No.
Kind of looks like a camel.
Okay.
This is the woman
Based
that
on the
everybody's
drops
murdering
that
everyone
we can
over.
see, for instance, in something like this,
Yeah,
are you able to, in
I don't
any
see
way,
it.
calculate
Nope.
what height someone was when, or the object was that was bleeding, or is that impossible to tell from these type of pictures, or these type of observations? You were there personally, so.
There would have to be experiments done for, and plus this is carpet, so it's going to react different to other surfaces. But we have to do experiments to see.
I vote camel. Tell me what you guys saw. I'm curious.
Was there anything else of note to you?
I'm sorry.
in the area where
I'm too
blood
focused on the guy
was,
trying to do his Harry Potter impression.
No, I was just gonna say, in addition to giving him $1,000 if he says
general
Baby
area
Ruth,
by where
I'll give him
the
$1,000 if he says Avada Kedavra.
Yeah, anything else of note or that you noticed
Right, more
regarding blood
testimony
on
here.
the carpet in this area of the house?
There appeared to be a footwear impression in the blood that was pooled in the living room.
And
they're not wearing
are
sharp
you
collars.
aware one way or another
So
whether
they can
that
hear better.
was one of the first patrol officers on the scene?
I am not.
Okay, and that's not something you ever try to determine, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now I'm going to turn your attention to photograph 150. Where are we now in the apartment 1B if we are?
We're in the living room.
Yeah, laying all of this
in
introduction of
relation to that
photographic
couch that we've
evidence is
seen a
not
couple
the most
times,
exciting
there's
thing.
No.
This is across, so this is on the west side of the apartment, so the couch is straight across.
I mean, trials can be boring sometimes.
Somebody would set their couch up so they could watch the TV that's on the other wall.
People got spoiled with depth they heard.
And is this piece of furnishing have a lot of shelves with a lot of knickknacks on it?
Yes, it does.
When you see that there's television on the wall,
Yes.
are you able to indicate whether that television was on or off when you
Stop being
entered the
nerds.
dwelling?
It was just like you see it now.
Okay.
I was definitely a Hermione Granger type when I was a kid.
Careful, that's turned into a kink these days.
Oh God, everything can
survey
be.
this shelving with all these items to see if what, if any, evidence you might find on this area.
Yes, there was just a little bit, a tiny bit of blood that was located on a few of the objects in here, but that's about it.
Okay, so let me show you. Photo 154. Was 154? Does it have a picture of one of the items you saw that had
Yes.
evidence? Okay, and what item? There's a number of items there. Which of the items on there had some blood evidence?
This with the 3 carbon.
Okay, and if I show you now picture 155, is that a close-up of the evidence you were able to observe?
Correct, just a small amount of what's suspected blood right there.
And what if any pattern did that have?
Why have they even bothered with that?
Okay.
With the amount of blood that's on the carpet and elsewhere in the room, I don't think we needed to see that specific tiny speck of blood.
I mean, it's obvious something
So,
happened to the guy.
I want to talk about
I don't
the
know
wall
Mhm.
that the couch is on, so the opposite side wall. First of all, can I show you picture 156? Is that the wall that the couch is on, opposite the TV that we just saw?
Yes, it is.
That's in the living room.
Yes.
Now let me show you 157. Is 157 a close-up from that wall area?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to go back to 156. About where on
Unless
156?
they've done one of those really cool, like, CSI style graphics, and they're laying that's got like lines coming from every speck of blood to intersect, like in the middle of the room or some shit like that, and then we're going to see some really interesting
No,
crap.
it's on that wall.
Correct.
Okay, so now let me show you 158.
I mean, that would require a more qualified
Is that
expert to
also
be
a picture from
testifying.
that same wall?
This is true.
Unfortunately.
Can we go back again?
Yeah, to 157?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it appears to be from that wall. I just like, again, I can't make a determination to the exact area on that wall. Right?
Okay.
I mean, this guy's whole purpose is basically just to go, yep, that looks like blood. Yep, that's a little blood there. Yep, there's a little more blood over there.
Is that also from the same wall?
It appears to be, yes.
Are the droplets you've seen on the wall across from the couch, or a wall along the couch of the living room, are those, do you have an opinion as to what the source of those drops are, or those stains?
This one is projected and it has, it's again, has directionality to it. If we could look at them as a whole, I could make a better determination, but that one appears to be part of an impact cutting stain.
Okay, so what about 158?
How come McDowell was not in Tank Girl, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe he was. Oh, wait, maybe he was.
Same thing.
Okay, impact, again, impact stains?
Yes.
Okay, and then
I thought you were thinking of Lori Petty for a second.
And same.
Okay, so if you can tell me, and this is only if you can, is this a different blow than the other blows we've seen or not?
In the totality of circumstances is to the location of these and the door, which is to the west of it. I would not be able to make a determination if those are different from the same stains around the door.
So they theoretically could be stains that are a little bit of a distance, but are from the same blow as the door area.
Correct.
Okay. Let me show you what's been picture 161. Is this the ceiling area again of that same area right under the, or right where the couch is under us?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then if we take a close-up then, that is 162. Is this from that same ceiling?
Yes, it is.
All right. And what, if anything, can you see there that is of interest to you?
The stains on the ceiling have similar characteristics as what we would say is cast off pattern.
Okay. And so then I'm going to go to a close-up at 165. Does that allow you a little more chance to see it close up?
That's an individual stain from within that pattern that appears to be cast off pattern.
And then I'll show you 166. Does this have staining that you can see?
Yes, it does.
Can you show us where?
Sure. So all the circular stains that you see are on the ceiling. All of these stains.
Okay, let me show you 167.
Creedham says they can't believe this literally number by number. Even though they stipulated, they still have to introduce them into evidence.
What can you make of this?
And that's what they're doing.
You see in this picture.
And generally with cast-off stains.
What the stipulation does is now they don't have to say, did you take this picture? Where were you when you took this picture? What time did you take the picture? Blah, blah, blah. But they still have to say, what is this a picture of?
When you see circular stains like this, it's, if you think about the angle that object is
It's mind-numbingly boring, but it's necessary.
Straight above in that area. And then if it continues on, you're going to see directionality on the ceiling down that way.
Do you know where on the ceiling these were located?
These were pretty much in the middle of the living room.
Okay. And based on their location and the pattern or the number of these or their shape, any other characteristics, are you able to say whether these are a different blow than the blows that we've spoken about thus far?
I'm going to object. It mischaracterizes the witness's testimony. This is cast off. This is not necessarily, this is not impact stains.
Okay. Apologize. Yeah, I'll correct my question. Yeah. Based on what sort of things would cause, what are the origins of things like cast off that might cause these to be located where they are?
Liquid blood that's like coming off of an object. So it could be, the object could be a bat, or it could be a hammer, it could be a knife. And again, the blood, when somebody strikes something and raises their hand back up, that liquid blood is off that object and onto the ceiling.
And based on this location, does it provide you any ability to say whether that location of cast off identifies any different area where someone is utilizing an item that's cast off?
No.
Okay. Let me show you what's been marked as 170. And do you know where that is in the room?
Those are the same stains. It's in the living room. That's the ceiling, and these are the same stains we observed earlier. You're just seeing that we put some scales on them.
All right. And are these essentially are these above the couch or more where the area rug is missing?
It's more in the center part of the living room. The couch is over here on this wall, and then the patio door, the north side, is over here on this side.
Let me show you what's been marked as picture 175. Where is that?
That's on the ceiling, so that's some of the circular stains that you can see on the ceiling.
And so what are those?
Again, it has the appearance of cast off hair.
And did you try to do to scale a number of those cast off patterns?
We used the sticker scales and just for labeling. So Officer Widener actually labeled these. Imagine there's a letter right there. I just not legible to me.
So let me show you what's been marked as picture 181. Is that an example of a scale sticker with a mark on it?
Yes, it is.
And that was Officer Widener who did those?
Correct.
Thank you. Let me turn your attention to another area depicted in 182. Do you know where this is located in this apartment, if it is?
Yes, I do.
Where's this?
So this is in front of the patio doors, and then on the west side of the couch.
And is this a table that we see in the middle there?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And to your knowledge, I mean, you don't know this house, does it appear items had been knocked off or disturbed there, or does it appear that they are placed there in a fairly normal fashion?
It appears to me that they're in the same, nothing was moved around.
Okay. And was this area one that caused you at least some concern?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let me show you a slight close-up, 183. Does this give you a chance to see some of what you are looking for?
Yes.
All right, now let me show you 184. Is this a close-up of some of that area of focus?
Yes, it is.
Can you point out for the jury on this close-up where on 184 you see things that are of note?
So all of these little red circular things that you see on this table here, they are a little smaller than what we've seen so far on like the door and other places. Usually that's indicative to one or two things, either like a gunshot or something like explorating. It's going to have really small stains like that. There's no evidence of any kind of gunshot that went on in this apartment. So it's some kind of impact spatter, or it could be exploration.
And what do we call that type of that kind of differing pattern?
A missed pattern or a like a higher velocity impact spatter.
Okay, and are there also impact stains on this, or are all of what we see here that separate thing you just talked about?
So I can't make a determination if these are actually impact pattern on this table, because I said the appearance of these are smaller. We noted. So I can't tell anything as to actually if this was actually impact spatter or if this was like exploration or something different.
So now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 185. Is this essentially the far end of the same table?
Yes, it is.
And does this have anything different or anything additional to note?
No, same.
Same type of spray or okay.
Yes.
Then I'm going to ask you to take a look at 186. Does this partially depict a wall that is behind that table?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and if I go to
Please go to lunch so I can make this Hayden's problem.
188. Is this a close-up of that wall?
That's still the table.
I'm sorry, that's the table. I apologize. My fault.
Oh, he's rebooting.
Now I'm going to turn your attention to 191. Where are we seeing now?
This is the patio door on the north side.
Is the table we just saw depicted in this picture?
Yes, it is.
Can you point that out?
There's the table.
Okay. And the door there, does it have any kind of curtains or anything that is depicted in this picture?
Vertical blinds.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as picture 192. As to 192, are those same vertical blinds?
Yes, they are.
And then I'll show you 193. On 193, do you see anything that you felt was of note?
Yes.
Can you point out where and tell us what it is?
The stains that you see in the vertical blinds, and they're also going to be by the air conditioner over here. You can see again that they are elongated. They have some bad tails. They have directionality. You can see that are going, you line them up, they're going up to a certain area of convergence up here. So these have the appearance of impact spatter.
And these are in fairly close proximity, or they are right at the window of the sliding doors, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let me show you then picture 196. Is this even closer up in the area on those blinds?
Yes, it is.
And
Unfortunately.
showing the same characteristics you just talked about?
Correct.
Are there a number of areas on these blinds where you see these distinct type of impact pattern?
Yes.
And do they vary in height, high and low?
So there's, on the blinds itself, I'd have to see another picture. I know that there's a table below that also displayed pattern, impact pattern, spatter pattern that's similar, and it could have came from the same source.
Let me show you what's been marked as photo 202. Is this the air conditioning unit you mentioned in a prior, looking at a prior picture?
Correct.
And if I take you then to 203, does that show some impact or some stains or something of note?
Yes, it does.
Okay, can you point out where?
Stains.
Okay, let me show you now 204. Is that a close-up of some of those same items you just pointed out?
Yes, it is.
Okay, point them out one more time on this one, 204. What can you say about the characteristics of those?
That they have similarities to impact pattern stains, and same thing where they're elongated and they're going in a downward direction.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to sleep, I'm going to do my taxes.
Air conditioning, a wall or area there. Is it your opinion that those could be the same blow impact as the wall over at the dinette?
I don't object to leading.
Now you're objecting to leading?
Whether this is
I'm object to boring the
different
shit out of me.
area of impact, where a different blow than the blows you have talked about previously.
So the stains that you observe on the
Insert
blinds,
blowjob joke here.
Wall by the air conditioner here appear to be a different impact patterns than previously mentioned ones.
And how do you know that?
Because the surface and the angle that these stains are.
Could I recite what I do while doing my taxes? You need something more interesting? I would, but then you'd know how much I make and all that kind of crap. I don't need that information out there.
Oh, now you're talking. I missed the most exciting part.
So when an object hits liquid blood, those stains are going to go in the direction, same direction as where that strike caused. So far as we went around this apartment, we haven't seen any stains on this wall or anything going in that direction. So these stains would have came from a different impact than the other one.
Garrett, he's not going to shave his head.
All right,
Are you kidding
I'm
me?
going
He's
to
holding
focus a
onto what
little
he's
bit on
got.
the couch. Can I have you take a look at 205? You recognize what those are in the context of this case?
He's working very hard to keep those pubes on his head.
Different things going on here. So a continuation from the impact spatter we were talking about earlier on the blinds here. You can see it also on this table below here. And also you can see on this pillow. So those small little circular dots that you can see on the pillow are also from impact spatter. And then as you move along to the cushion, then you have more saturation and drip stains going on over here. These stains are not from impact spatter.
Officer Van Weed, so let me show you 206. You've just testified that you saw on the pillows a number of impact patterns. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Just briefly point out where those are located on 206.
All these little situations.
Okay, now I'm going to show you 207. You just testified to circular stains on there as well. Do you see those on 207?
Yes, I do.
Okay, point them out, please, briefly. Now, in the original picture of the couch with the pillows, you said there was a table or something behind. Let me show you 210. Do you recall these items behind the couch, but over towards the blinds?
Yes.
And do you see something of interest in this area?
Yes. So on the paperwork on top of this table, you can see the blood stains, the circular blood stains on this table here.
And what is your conclusion about what those blood stains are?
That those are from impact spatter.
Now, above the wall at that location, did you also observe things that appear to be stains to you?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 215. Is this a picture of that location?
Yes, it is.
And what do you see here?
Those same. You got stains that are elongated with tails, which are indicate impact spatter.
How do lawyers not fall asleep going through this? Coffee. Lots and lots of coffee.
I'm just going to show you an
cocaine.
overview of the area we just looked at. If you could take a look at picture 217. To your knowledge, did 217, is this how it looked when you were looking through the scene?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as 218. Do we see something that looks like blood evidence in 218?
Yes.
Can you point out where it's located?
So on both sides of the couch, the upright pillow, you see saturation stains in the pillow itself. And then you see the drip stains that are on.
That is someone with a wound to the back of their head sitting on the couch for a minute.
Distinct pattern almost, which could either be interpreted.
Which to me does work with the theory that someone's fallen over, smacked their head, got a bit of a cut, gotten up, sat back on the couch to steady themselves, and then got up and left.
Okay, so an object is there for long enough to bleed on it in that location?
Correct.
Okay. This is not an impact stain, what you see there?
It's just passive.
Okay.
Well, I should take that back. So this, again, I'm reserving comment as to exactly what my opinions are of stain, but there could be a couple different causes to cause a pattern like that.
Well, what are the variety of causes of things? You're saying you don't have an opinion, but what are the ways one could get this stain?
One would be from an arterial spurt. So if somebody's cut on a major artery to where that artery is actually dispersing blood out of them, it goes along with their heartbeat. So
well, wait, I couldn't quite hear you. If
somebody's cut on a major artery,
cut is the word? If someone is
if
cut,
they have a cut or injury that is exposing a major artery where blood is actually spurting.
If someone cut a major artery, there would be
then
a
that blood
fucking lot more blood than that.
Do a pattern almost
This
like
is true.
like a V, and that V is indicative to the heartbeat.
And Mandy, it
So,
depends whether or not it was deliberate or not.
Major arteries going like when your heart pumps, then blood is going to go up, and when your heart goes
See,
up, the beat goes
over the
down.
weekend while we were in the car traveling to my sister's place,
You almost have like a little bit.
my wife and I sat and went
You
through
can
this
see that.
case. Now, she works in personal injury, so she knows injuries, but she's seen some pretty gnarly shit over her time.
Actually being.
She can't work out how this case has even gone to trial, given that we don't have a body.
Noting that there are similarities in that stain.
Okay. Other than being stabbed in an artery, how else could you get?
Your wife object it mischaracterizes the
Sorry?
witness's testimony.
I agree with your wife on that one. I don't understand it either.
Yeah.
Question, what you just heard?
Correct.
I thought you said struck, to be honest with you.
I said cut.
You said stab.
I'm sorry, I said
stab.
I said stab.
You said what?
Stab. Because he said cut, so I said stab.
Okay.
Wait, that's totally different things.
Sure. Other than someone being cut in a major artery, what would be another way that they could have a stain like that? I know you're not forming an opinion, but what's another possible way?
Saturation. Just, passively, that blood is falling off of somebody that is in this area. It's either dripping off or there's some contact made where it's actually saturating and then just flowing and dripping down. These are different, where these are actually just passive drips that are falling naturally.
Now I'm going to turn your attention to Exhibit 220. What is that item that's on the couch?
It's like a money clip or a wallet.
Was that there when you came into the residence?
Yes, it was.
And if you can you offer an opinion on whether that was located at that location when the blood was deposited on this couch?
So when we moved this this wallet, there's blood stains, as you see. These drip stains are all over the seat of the couch. These drip stains were underneath this wallet, so that would indicate that this wallet was placed there after those stains were deposited.
I'm going to show you now what's been marked as 221. Does this depict anything different of significance other than what you've already talked about?
Just a placard photo of that same money clip or wallet.
It's been opened and is in a different position and has something on top of it.
Show you picture 223. Anything of significance in this picture?
Just the same thing, just showing the wallet within that blood stains.
Officer, were you able to observe other pieces of wood in the couch area?
Yes.
The fuck?
Okay, where were those located, if you know, in general?
I remember right on the upright cushion.
Okay.
You know, when he was taking the picture, he found it and he's just running around the apartment going, I've got wood, I've got wood.
Wait, so there was wood in the couch area, or I'm confused?
Apparently.
Let me turn your attention back to
And he's got wood all over the place.
if you focus in on 219, can you see any piece of wood in that exhibit?
I believe it's this right here.
Okay.
Where?
Is that what they're suggesting the murder weapon was? A piece of wood, like a 2x4?
Baseball bat.
Yeah.
Is probably
right.
Because he was a baseball coach.
They didn't recover any baseball bats, but lots of gloves and baseballs at his apartment.
No, Mandy, Morningwood is not a myth.
In the area over by the blinds and the couch, how many
Nothing but
blows
wood.
do you see based on the evidence you analyzed?
Minimum of one.
So I want to be sure I have this right in summary. 2 of them in the hallway area, minimum.
Correct.
1 at the inner door, in the interior of the apartment.
Right.
1 in the area by the table by the entrance.
That's correct.
1 by the dinette wall where the dinette is.
Eric V.
And 1 by the blinds that are close to the sliding doors.
The alleged victim was a minor league coach.
So you've so far talked about a minimum of 6 blows, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other locations in this residence, in any place, where you feel that there are that it appears to you that there is impact blood that might be an additional blow?
No.
When you observed this location, were the sliding doors locked or unlocked at your time in terms of access?
They were unlocked.
And where do the sliding doors head to then?
To the north side where the parking lot is.
And when you come out of this particular apartment, what do you come out to? Are you immediately in grass? Are you on a road?
There's a small cement patio right outside.
And then what's next?
And grass.
And then what's next?
Then the parking lot.
And what would be your estimate at the distance from those sliding doors to the closest parking spaces?
Say about 10, 12 feet.
And would you, as an evidence tech, can you offer an opinion or tell us in terms of your observations about that I think you called it a patio that you come to when you leave out the sliding door? Is that sheltered from the rain, or is it exposed to the rain based on what you recall?
Exposed.
And then the grassy area that you spoke about, is that sheltered from the rain or exposed to the rain based on what you recall?
Exposed.
And then when you get off the grass, you're essentially by where a car could park, is that right?
Correct.
Is there a sidewalk? When you get to the end of the grass, is there a small sidewalk?
There's not.
Oh, okay. In any case, would the parking lot area, whatever comes next, be impacted by rain as well? It's not sheltered.
Yes.
Judge, I'm done with this particular area. There's a couple more areas for him to cover, so I think this is probably a logical moment to break.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Sweet Jesus.
All right, let's take a break at this point, and I'll ask that you return at 1:15. Please don't talk about the case during the break. We want you to listen when you want to class. Question?
All right.
I didn't even hear when they're coming back.
Nope, I missed it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't hear it. It was just mumbled something. Did anybody catch what time they're coming back?
Yeah, chat, let us know, because I didn't hear anything. That was riveting. Absolutely riveting. I'm enthralled.
Oof.
On the upside, I'm almost done with my taxes.
Well,
Speaking of taxes, I'm wondering if they're going to get the accountant who was working with Zachariah Anderson on his taxes on the day in question to testify, because I feel like
they said
that was kind of there was kind of an alibi there that was intriguing.
That's what they said they were going to do. So we'll see if they do it.
I'm looking forward to that. Oh man!
All right, well. Hayden, get your stream up and running.
Yep, I'm on it.
And while you're doing that, I will burn through the last 8 super chats, and then we'll, if you deign to send me the link, I'll pop on over to you for a bit. All righty, let's bring up the super chat. Oof! Wow, Mike Morrison with the mega super chat. Thank you so much. Deeply appreciate it. You're a legend.
What a mensch.
Thanks. Literally, that was the word that I was thinking, but then I decided not to say it, so I said legend instead. We've already got like co-host telepathy going here. Thanks for getting me addicted to another trial. Not like I had anything to do. My company is used to walking into my office and seeing a guy named Vices on my screen talking about a random murder trial. No shot needed. I'm storing these up for Friday. Weekend and all that. Mandy says, if I kill anybody, I'm going to spatter grape / strawberry jelly, ketchup, and Tabasco all over the scene just to piss off the forensic experts in court. Please don't kill anybody. Lancelot 652, I see where Binger got his what, if anything. Yeah, and literally, like, F. Lee Bailey was the one that kind of started that in the 50s, and it's just never gone away. Well, he didn't really started it. He popularized it.
That's impressive.
Creed M says, I can't believe this is literally number by number. Yeah, we went over that, and it's going to continue to go number by number until they've entered all of the photographs that this guy took into evidence. How many? We have no idea. It's a mystery.
It's pretty exhaustive.
5 more. It could be 5 more. It could be 500 more. And by the way the guy was talking, it's probably closer to 500 than 5.
I don't envy the jury, although I feel like we're kind of all in the same boat. So, I mean, if I was in the jury, I would be falling asleep right now. That's why I had to make coffee. I had to like take a little break. Like, I need coffee because I can't get through this otherwise.
Yeah, I don't envy Hayden because I know what the last 3 hours of my life was like.
Well, maybe it'll get more interesting in the afternoon. We'll see.
Well, we're assuming that
with Visor's luck in the past, you know, it has happened on occasion, but I don't know. At this point, I feel like I'm gonna have to stand in the background juggling or some sort of shit to keep people entertained because this is gonna be rough.
I guess. Well, let's see if they get to cross. If it gets to cross, then that'll be interesting for sure.
They'll get to cross right at like 5 to 5, and they'll go, "Nah, we'll do it tomorrow."
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this one is probably gonna be all day.
I was thinking that the guy would be crushed on cross, but now I'm thinking it's just going to be a brutal 5 or 6 questions. You really don't know what you're talking about. You're not an expert in anything. Your whole job was just to be Mr. Photographer. Thank you. Bye.
Can you testify that this is actually blood?
Yeah. Mike Morrison again. Make it stop, Vices. No, it's not necessary, and all that. I know it's necessary and all that, but my God, this is effing rough. Yeah, it is. But hey, you know, it's, this introducing photographic evidence and stuff like that is the worst part of any trial. Duncan, Idaho, another super chat from Duncan, Idaho. Whenever the prosecutor squints, I prepare myself for a George W. Bush impression, but I'm disappointed every time. And feral housewife. Uh-oh. I think feral housewife just took over. Dirty Roofer, Hunch the Dirty Roofer is my favorite nickname so far on the channel. I like Feral Housewife a lot. It's a great name.
Pretty great.
Your Honor, I am not a cat. And Lancelot 652, an artery cut. Bro, I seen a jugular wound on Twitter. There would be a lot more blood.
Yeah.
See, they need to stop with this he bled out theory that they're sort of implying and just go to he was cracked upside the skull 5 times with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Is the theory that all of the blood that would indicate that he actually died absorbed into that little throw rug that, you know, that went missing? Because I'm not seeing enough blood in that room to show certain death. And I'm not an expert, but I'd like for somebody to testify to whether there's enough blood in that room that says he died, because I don't see it.
No. Oh, excuse me, not at all. There is a ridiculous amount of blood in a human body.
I mean, on my 17th birthday, I tried a glass ring on at Venice Beach, and it was so janky that it cracked immediately. It cut my finger. I lost a lot of blood. I passed out, and an ambulance had to come. And there was more blood at that scene than what I'm seeing here.
Shit.
And, thankfully, I kept the finger. So, you know, but I mean, oh my God, like I'm not seeing it.
I mean, if people are wondering how much blood there is in a human body, there's a lot. I keep forgetting the exact amount. Well, I mean, the exact average amount. Is it like 7 pints? I don't know.
Something like that. I think that was a part of Gone Girl, where like she save her blood and she tried to save like a certain amount so that she could, you know, put it all over the crime scene and make it look like this person's definitely dead. I don't remember exactly what that amount was.
So 10 units, 1.2 to 1.5 gallons, which is like 6 liters.
So the question is, how much do you have to exsanguinate in order to be, you know, actually dead? Like how much blood do you have to lose?
Well, do this. If you really want to see how much liquid is in that body of yours, how much blood, take 2 liters, or just if you want to get really dramatic, 4 liters, and just pour it out on your kitchen floor. Just take it like 2 liters of Coke, or 1.5 liters of Coke, pour it out on your kitchen floor, and see how much liquid there is spreading all over your damn floor.
And then compare it to these crime scene photos.
Yeah, yeah, and do that too.
Basically.
Make sure you use lots of red food coloring so it never goes away.
Yeah, could throw a little Caro
this-
syrup in there to make it, the right consistency.
Yeah, stage blood.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. This cop is creepy. Serial killer vibes. Wait. It's got Ric Flair going full WWF.
Oh my.
I'm probably gonna get yeeted for that now because there's extreme graphicness. What do we got? So
Well, thank you for showing it in your stream, not mine. I didn't realize that was a problem.
I don't know. So we're 1 billion hours into it, but who knows?
Well, at least we're getting through it together. I'm happy to be here.
And let's see, the last meme of the day is where's the last meme of the day? Last meme, where'd you go? There it is. That's the last meme of the day.
Oh wow.
That's Sloth.
Quite a likeness. Okay.
That's Sloth from the Goonies.
I'm seeing it. Okay. See, now I really need to watch Goonies. You guys have convinced me.
Yeah.
It's mean, but it's accurate. So that's the problem.
It was catch-up YouTube. All right. How are we doing over there on setup, Hayden?
Yeah, good to go. Links in private chat. Yeah, guys. So in order for covering over the break, just to keep everyone up to date, we have London police officer who killed somebody has now been sentenced for indecent exposure. A Pakistani suicide bomber has killed 9. The Perth Mint has sold China a whole bunch of diluted gold, apparently.
Are these all lunch break stories you're going to be covering?
Yes, and unfortunately they found the bodies of the 3 women that vanished from the club on Friday. So for anyone that's been paying attention to my little news stories, we have updates.
That's a very sad conclusion.
Unfortunately, yes.
I didn't know there were 3 people missing from a pub.
Neither did I.
Yeah, and there were 3 reasonably attractive girls as well, which is really upsetting.
Well, now I'm looking at this here. It didn't work Friday, but the redirect is locked and loaded, and I'm looking at it and I've triple checked it. So we'll see if anybody gets sent over there this time. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to shut this down here, and we're going to all head on over to Aussie so he can take us through the lunch break and the afternoon session. I'll join him over there really quickly to give him a very brief rundown on what's happened thus far. There were actually a couple of things that happened before Photo Guy got there. Will Chandler Remington be joining Aussie Overlaw'd for the afternoon session?
If I'm invited, yes, I would love to join.
Yeah, of course. The link's in the chat, so feel free. I'm going to head over there now because I've got the countdown going, but I'll see you all over there, guys.
I'll be there.
Cool. See you in a bit.
All right, see ya.
All right, so we currently have 1,340 people. Everybody needs to go to Chandler Remington's Twitter and follow her on Twitter, Remy_legal.
I would love to have all of you there to see you guys following me on Twitter. That would be great. Thank you so much for joining us and watching this seemingly fascinating, but also at sometimes very boring trial. I'm glad you're sticking it out. It's a little rough right now, but we'll get to the more interesting parts, I'm sure.
Yeah, this should be much better after this guy gets all the photographs in. Should kind of pick up.
We just need to get through, slog through this evidence, basically.
Yeah. We've got 1,305 concurrent viewers. Now we're down to 1,269. We're going to wrap this up by hitting the like and subscribe button on your way out, please, people. Let's see how we're doing on subscriber numbers here, just for giggles. Currently 35,488. 12 people get in there and hit that subscribe button. Let's get up to 35,500 today. Just 12 of you that haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button before we wrap this up in about 30 seconds from now. And hit the like button too. Today's poll, who won the poll? I hit the like and subscribe button because this is all very close. 22% of you said nobody does it like Schroeder. 23% said the power of Christ compelled me. 24% said I want the DA to stop yelling at me. And coming in at number 1, I hit the like and subscribe button because 31% of you said I've got the mens rea. All right, that's the end of the poll. We're now going to head on over to Aussie. Thank you so much, everybody in chat, for being the best chat on the entire. 10 more people get me up to 500. I'm going to stick here now. Just kidding. Well, doesn't matter. Thank you, mods, for being the moddiest mods that ever modded. You're great. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Chandler, as always, for joining. Look forward to more of it tomorrow, and then OJ on Thursday. Coming up tomorrow before this trial from 8 a.m. Eastern, I will have Stephen and Gosney on here to talk about some of his cases. And then we'll do this trial, and then we'll do the trial on Wednesday. Thursday is O.J. Simpson with co-host Chandler Remington, and then it's trial with Chandler Remington, and then Friday comes along. Yay, that'll get us through the week.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, take care, everybody. You should be automatically sent over to Aussie Overlaw'd when we end the broadcast. If not, right at the top of the chat, there's going to be a little something's happening over on Aussie. You go check it out. And if that doesn't work, you're just going to have to find him on your own. We'll see you over there in about 30 seconds. Take care, everybody. Bye now. See ya.
Bye.